Hi, today we're going to talk about mountains, mounds, mythology, temples, Sumerians, ancient Egypt, ziggurats, and pyramids. And all of that to me is involved in a sense, an evolved paganism. So I thought that the best way to help people understand my ideas of sort of what that is to show how I think we got to paganism. Paganism is not something to me that we always had, and is not in any way to me the oldest religion. So I think that religion in a sense starts in Africa, and then from Africa 100,000 years ago or so ends up migrating out, goes to, in a sense, France or Germany, and somewhere in that area, and becomes totemism, where it's a cultural attachment to things and religion. So it's not, totemism itself isn't a religion, it's religious ideas or supernatural cultural ideas mixed together in a sense. And I think then a separate branch leaves the Middle East and goes into Siberia and Western Siberia, where that S is, and becomes shamanism. And both totemism and shamanism are separate ideas that branched off of a more pure form of animism. And animism in this sense is like a supernaturalism or a spiritualism. It's not really a religion itself, but it is a religious idea. So because it is a supernatural idea that is passed in a cultural way, it's not just, oh, well, we can believe whatever you want. It's like many people sharing these, cultural beliefs in a sense. Because some people will say, well, animism isn't a religion. I'm like, well, if we all share it, is it just individualistic either? if it spreads through time and across place and across culture, is it not some kind of a religion in that sense? How it's being expressed and utilized? Because it's the utilization to me that I think is important to not forget. In other words, if you focus on, in other words, like this, you can have belief in a God and not be religious. But does that really happen, that people believe in a God and have no religious ideas? That's not a general thing. Usually religious ideas and gods or whatever are in a package of ideas that go together, and generally also have mythologies that go with them. And then people believe in, and ways the world works and afterlives are sort of connected. It's not like you can have I believe in a God. Okay. But then they believe that God also has a plan for the afterlife and then created the world this way or that way. It's like way more evolved, which I think that the shamanism and totemism meet in Central Europe sometime around 30,000 to 25,000 years ago. And when they meet, the cultural religious ideas, and shamanism is more afterlife or supernatural, not of this world ideas. In other words, like totemism is more like you have to only have sex with this type of people. You only have to eat this type of food. You should do this type of a dance or whatever. Shamanism is more like these type of spirits make sickness. These type of spirits are involved in healing, or these type of ways of doing things affects this type of spiritual thing that then can benefit you, or afterlives, and there's ancestors and they can do stuff for you, where totemism may believe in ancestors, but not as like spirits that help you, but like people, like heroes, like people that went before we're supposed to emulate or be proud of or feel a cultural identity to. Like in America, we have our founding fathers. Those are cultural heroes. We don't think they're supernatural, but it's more like a totemistic thing. Oh, these people matter in a cultural context. That's more totemism. Shamanism would have magical stories about it, almost like chopping down the cherry tree, this thing that probably didn't ever happen, or whatever for George Washington, or Honest Abe, like can't tell a lie or something. It's the supernatural, but generally it would be that stuff somehow they can benefit us in this life, or that the shamanism is the only one that can go to the afterlife itself and talk to the ancestors one-on-one or interact with them. Or later, when paganism gets influenced into shamanism, that they can go talk to the deity on our behalf. Later, I think that becomes pastors or whatever. or priests, or in a sense religious people. Like in the Americas, like a lot of people say medicine man or whatever. It's a spiritual person that is doing it in a sense for you, better than you. It's not where totemism is a little more about the group doing it. Like if a whole group does a certain dance as a group, that's more totemist. Shamanistic can have a people, but generally like a drum circle. It's not the entire group doing it. It's not like 300 people drum. It's like 10 people drumming on our behalf, or one person drumming on our behalf. To me, just to understand how I'm seeing. So then those ideas, right, that are mixed together, totemism and shamanism, then go over to Lake Baikal. Lake Baikal already had some early shamanism from Siberia itself. So to me, then it changes and becomes less clan, this world focus, and becomes a little more supernatural. And I think also the area of Lake Baikal itself has a bunch of really bizarre features that I think help inspire mythology or supernatural thinking, because they have wild stuff going on. Then those people go down to the Middle East, the Aros, and become the P is paganism around 12,000 years ago, or influence those people. They were already there. Not saying those people did nothing themselves, but those people probably were some evolved version of animism, and maybe even some, especially the later part, because after 35, it's possible that some of the totemists had gone back to Israel or the Middle East. So they're starting to bring the stuff. So it could be animism, totemism. Here, these shamanism, totemism people show up, and they come together at the same time. They're doing agriculture stuff, the early forms of it. And I think that switches the focus to a more blend, right? Which also, because of the sedentary nature of it, also of like not moving around like the other people were doing, the more hunter-gatherers, the more sedentary starts to make, like if you move around, if something is bad, you can just move to another area. Because you can say, in other words, you can say this land's cursed, and you just move. But if you have to live on the land, now you're praying for that land to do well, right? Which to me, I think I'm trying to explain like why I think paganism emerges. Like these things are serving needs in a sense. So these cultural switches. So I think that's where in a sense the gods and all that start to come about. I feel is because this new cultural like needs. So then paganism. Why I think a lot of religions are because there's gods that are like all over in a sense the world. I think that the reason they are is because. So I'll just go ahead and show a picture real quick of the deities where I think they moved around, because I think it helps understand what I'm trying to say. So because we explained how we get to shamanism, but then from shamanism to paganism, and then paganism, which is adding deities, then in the Middle East. Then the Middle East moves out from the Middle East with all this new package of ideas, which then puts deities like all over the world in a sense, which I think that it's important to understand. So the Middle East is where it starts. It goes into Africa early, and it also goes into all these other areas, even Siberia, even the Americas, and they all have this general package of either a sky father and an earth mother, which is super common, or they have a sky father and a sky mother, and very rare in Egypt, you have a sky mother and an earth father, which is weird. But then when you also understand, like we've talked about before, Egypt also has dual gender. So it may not be that in a sense it's violating that much of that thinking, because it's seeing it as a dual gendered being. Like the god of water we talked about last time, I think, for Egypt was Nut. And then the aspect of him that was female was Nu, and Nu is the waters that the Mount of Creation comes out of, which was Geb, the earth, the male deity of the earth, where everybody else sees the earth being a female. But I'm saying this doesn't help us understand. So, and it's not, I don't think that all over the world that are so fucking similar are somehow accidentally all invented, in situ all over the world. I think they come from the Middle East, and that seems hard for most people to grasp, and it's not like a Graham Hancock thing. So here's a picture first to show you movement. So the ideas are moving out, and technology is moving out. So it's not a guess. we do know things are happening. This shows the Middle East starting, see, it says 7,000 years ago for metallurgy in Turkey and northern Iraq, and moving out to Egypt and Iran and India and out to Europe and the steppe and all the way to Lake Baikal and beyond, and China. So all these in Southeast Asia and even up there in Finland and Sweden. So the point is, I'm saying these ideas are all moving around. So then the next picture I wanted to show was, this is a picture of wheat and maybe wheat and barley, but also cultural ideas, and showing how they start in the Middle East, right? And then they move out all the way to China and all the way to Lake Baikal and all the way to India. And of course, they went to Europe too. This map's not showing that. So the point I'm trying to say is, like I told you before, for me, it would be odd if the metallurgy and the agriculture all went and no other ideas, tool technology and no other ideas went. That would almost be kind of bizarre. It seems more like, and like I said, there is evidence of the religions also kind of going. But you think the Silk Road spread religion. We know this in more cultural times when people traveled caravans, they spread religion. It's not a stretch, but this doesn't mean that it's one people, one thing, one DNA. Like I told you, all that is wrong. And ideas kept moving, things kept changing so it's not a hyper diffusion like one time and everything happens, or one way and everything moves. So even though the ideas came from Lake Baikal and down into the Middle East, they then go back to Lake Baikal from the Middle East. So it's well, just important to understand that how I'm trying to say it is the accurate thing, which is more complex but still important to understand. We're going to go ahead and have you read real quick in a sense, that picture of the wheat or whatever. This is the article I got it from. We're just going to read the abstract. And that's it. Just because I want people to have a confidence that when I say things moved and ideas, couldn't move, or technology moved, and religion as well. This is not a guess. This is. I'm not claiming also to know every single aspect or whatever, but we can get a general picture.
Holocene niche divergence of wheat and barley in Central and East Eurasia.
Okay, go ahead and read the highlights.
Okay. Reconstructing the Holocene niche evolution of wheat and barley from convergence to divergence. Niche divergence was initially shaped by water management, later by complex climatic and agricultural factors. Niche differentiation created a complementary agricultural system, enhancing overall resilience.
Right. Complementary agricultural system. Yeah. Right. Go ahead and read the abstract.
The eastward dispersal of wheat, Triticum, I think that stands for subspecies, the SPP.
Yeah, you don't have to just we're just getting the basic idea.
Okay. And barley, Hordeum vulgare, during the Holocene was a key process in the development of early civilizations and social complexity across Central and East Eurasia. Unlike the westward expansion into Europe, which occurred across more continuous environmental gradients, this eastward movement traversed fundamentally different climatic regimes and topographies. This presented significant adaptive challenges to these crops. While previous research has established a spatio-temporal framework for this dispersal, a systematic understanding of the niche dynamics, differentiation pathways, and underlying environmental drivers of the process of this large-scale adaptation process has been lacking. This study integrates 954 archaeobotanical records, paleoclimatic models. We applied machine learning algorithms, including principal component analysis, random forest, and maximum entropy models, to quantitatively reconstruct the Holocene niche trajectories of both cereals. Our results reveal a clear process of niche evolution from convergence to divergence. In the early Holocene, the niches of the two species largely overlapped. Initial separation occurred during the mid-Holocene, driven primarily by human water management practices. This divergence intensified in the late Holocene, driven by the interplay between physiological adaptation to natural environmental gradients and human niche construction. This gradual differentiation ultimately produced a functionally complementary agricultural system. We became specialized in environments with with relatively favorable hydrothermal conditions. In contrast, the greater environmental tolerance of barley made it a key species for expanding agriculture to high altitude and arid marginal zones. This study provides new quantitative ecological evidence on how key crops co-adapted with human niche construction practices while developing functionally complementary ecological role, with wheat occupying optimal hydrological niches and barley adapting to marginal environments. This dual-layered adaptation enhanced the resilience and spatial coverage of prehistoric agricultural systems. That's pretty neat. I didn't know that barley was like this marginal adaptation. That's why it really helped take off during early farming.
Right. So that's just helped to get an idea of what's going on. So we're going to now go to the blog itself, but I just wanted to give a little more background of what we're doing, and these ideas move, but it's not like I'm magically just assuming they moved, or like the famous Graham Hancock quote, which I'm going to go ahead and share it because it's just important compared to how I do things. There's his model, which my favorite quote from Graham Hancock: in what archaeologists have studied, yes, we can say that there is no evidence of advanced civilization. So that's literally the opposite. I have evidence and more evidence of what's going on and what I'm trying to tie together and how things could have happened or whatever. Just throwing that out there so people understand that, not to say in any fucking way. Also, I really value, by the way, archaeologists, anthropologists, historians, ethnographers. I'm not at war with them. and this is true too. Even if they say sometimes or things that I don't totally agree with, I'm still not at war with them. There was a post made on fraudulent archaeology where John Hoops had posted a thing where they said that here's a pseudo-archaeologist had put 3 pictures of pyramids and said, oh, coincidence that they're all, and they have 3 doors each, and coincidence that all these are made. And John Hoops goes, well, people stack rocks or the person had commented, said that that's a good easy way to stack rocks or something. And I just commented that is not why they did. Religion, cosmology, and mythology are the why. And only one person commented to me and said, well, that's true, but that's not true of the Greeks and Romans. Well, I don't totally agree with that statement exactly, but I do agree that the Greeks, not at first they were the same as the Near East, but then they adapted the Hellenistic models, which were different, which we already talked about. Mm-hmm. So yeah, okay, they got, and then the Romans kind of took a lot of their stuff from the Greeks. So okay, that they were different. But anyways, certainly what I was talking about, because it was about pyramids, was accurate totally. The Americas, even the mound builders, it's cosmological and mythological. The reason the Sumerians we're talking about are doing mounds and mountains is cosmological and mythological. The same reason the Egyptians, the mound of creation, is cosmological and mythological. The same reason they did them in Peru, and the same reason they did them in Mesoamerica. So I am right about that. So I felt like it was funny because, I don't know, are the Greeks and Romans known for building pyramids? Because you're talking about pyramids, and I commented about the pyramids. If you want to make a secondary thing about people that really aren't pyramid builders, okay.
Yeah, that's like a separate topic.
I was like,
yeah.
He's like, oh, you're right.
That have to do?
Greeks and Romans didn't do that. I'm like, well, first off, aren't we talking about pyramids? So what you're saying is, okay, so I'm right about the pyramids. I'm just not right about extended cultural things that are not. And like I said, I also could have nitpicked and said, well, you don't mean that when the Greeks and the Messenians started, you just mean when it got to the Hellenistic period. But I didn't even want to go there because, like I said, also, I'm not at war with them. So I don't, they want to say a point, fine, that's fine. But it has nothing to do with what I said. Oh, and also, I did like the fact that he agreed, yes, that's true, just not for the Greeks and Romans. I'm like, okay, yeah, because they're the pyramid builders, right? Okay, just checking. Okay, you just had to say something. But like I said, also, my reason for doing things is not a gotcha. So even if I can gotcha people, I don't do that because I told you I'm an educator. I'm not like trying to bully people or prove I'm intelligent or prove I know more or show off. I'm really trying to educate. And so, like I told you, I'm more into the kind of person likes to call people in instead of call people out. That's more my thing. The reason I lambast Graham Hancock constantly is because people do believe him. And then there's some people that have said, oh, Damien, with the stuff you do, you're really going to like Graham Hancock. And I'm like, if you understood the stuff I do, you would understand personally why I would never like Graham Hancock. How could you me who has everything has to be on evidence, and him, he has no evidence. Excuse me. I don't know how he put those two together. But anyways, going back to this thing. So mythology, I try to make mythology understandable also in the cultural context, and then how it spreads, and then why it would do that or why it would adapt change. And so this picture right here is showing like the female and then the sea serpent or whatever behind her. Those are connected, but only because the younger culture made it connect. The first thing was not connected. The first is the mother of waters in Sumerian, was not a dragon. The later Babylonians make Tiamat a water dragon or a queen of serpents or whatever, which she's the salt water, and Abzu, which is another sort of bird monster figure sometimes, it is considered fresh water, which together they used to be unified, and that was the same as what that female is, which is the cosmic ocean, which was one body of water, both fresh and salt in a sense. And then they split in the Babylonian into two different things. And like I told you before, the splitting is also what the earth and the sky do. They're split. At first, they're one being, male and female, earth and sky, just like this. It also is true that not the woman, that's the Sumerian, but the snake thing or whatever, or dragon, is more the Babylonian thing. And the Babylonian thing, they also not just split heaven and earth, they also split the water, as the cosmic water gets split into two different beings, the first beings in a sense. It's fresh water, which is male, and salt water, which is female, because the salt water is the chaotic water. It's so, like I told you before, to understand the Sumerian motif of like the world. The first cosmic ocean, we can't drink ocean water. It's dark, it's cosmic, right? Where you can have lakes that are clear or whatever, or something. Because some are green, like the Washington, D.C. green pond scum, thing.
Yeah. The fucking reflecting pool. Oh.
Right. The ridiculous reflecting pool. But the concept to understand, though, don't get distracted of the water. This has to do with order and disorder, which is like land is order out of the disorder, because we can't live on top of the ocean. So land is order in the disorder. And the Sumerian gets broken up later. The Babylonian takes the water and says that the salt water we can't drink, in a sense. Of course, they don't distinctly say it all like this. I'm just explaining the understanding or the thinking that I know is behind what they're saying. Okay. Just so you understand, I don't know that they'll say it distinctly like this, but I know what they're meaning. It's about order and disorder, which they do talk about. And they say the ordered universe. So I know that but I understand, because I've read so much, I understand what they're talking about. I get the concept. The concept, when things you can't use, that is disorder. When it's a flood world, like the world floods, that's disorder, because we can't live in a flood. So we can't live in darkness. That's why before the world starts, it's chaotic darkness, because we need light to function. You walk into things, you fall off a cliff, you fall into holes. Even if you're in water, you don't know where to swim if it's dark, in a sense. So it's the light that helps separate the darkness, which is disorder, and the salt water is disorder, and the whole world being covered in water is disorder, which the land is the order, and the fresh water is order. You see what I'm saying? So you can understand these concepts, because it's understanding the concepts that I think the bigger mythine concepts that they're trying to express helps understand, they keep doing this. Order from chaos. So you understand that what they're doing. And the male and female is often the female is seen as chaos and the male is seen as order. Of course, I don't know how many males they've met, because males often act in a lot of chaos. But this is the mythology, definition. So we'll go just so I think that really helps. And so read this Namu is the cosmic ocean of the Sumerians, and then later becomes Tiamat, which is the Babylonian, in a sense, sea serpent dragon. Go ahead and read that.
Goddess Namu, who later becomes Tiamat, female sea serpent or dragon, primeval sea/cosmic ocean. Duku, or Dulkug, is a Sumerian word for a sacred place. According to Wasoeska et al., Duku translates as holy hill, holy mound.
We pause for 1 second. So holy mound, like the mound of creation, the holy mound. So we'll go up real quick to the picture. Dooku is in the picture. It's the holy mound. See, it says holy mound. The house, which is a holy mound. The great mountain where the goddess Negel and the god Anunua, or a group of gods dwell upon. So see that purple mountain? That's the mountain. See those two deities that are like in the sun on top of the mountain? And there's a little temple with little stars. That's supposed to be where their little doors that go inside and live there. It's my drawings, but I'm trying to show what they're. But the mountain itself is not inanimate. It's a spirit being. It's Dooku. It's the holy mountain, which, like I said, in the Sumerians, that's that. But in the Egyptians, similar to the Mount of Creation, which so this one to help you understand, they see that as later the pyramids, or the pyramids are emulated that. Where same thing. Ziggurats, which is a mountain of God, they put a little temple on top of. Don't you get the thing now? So their holy mound that there's a temple on top where the gods live, and then later the ziggurat is a mountain they build like a pyramid, but it has a temple on top, unlike the burial mound that the Egyptians have that are pyramids. But they're both in a sense mounds, which is the holy mound, or like a first mound or a special mound of creation in a sense. So because some people try to say, oh well, the Sumerians don't really have exactly a mound of creation, and then the ziggurats are temples where the gods reside on top of. I'm like, on top of the holy mountain, which is a cosmological idea and a mythological idea that then has a physical form representing it, which is exactly what the pyramids are. The pyramids are not themselves the holy mound of creation. They are a resemblance of, or a creation that's supposed to emulate the cosmological, mythological idea of the mound of creation, or what's
so it's almost like something you construct to help you like grasp that concept in a way.
Yes, and also they're trying to make it like a recreation machine, meaning that if we build a thing that was at the beginning of creation, like when humans are born, the beginning of the life, that they then will pass into and become a new life or be recreated, because we're emulating this first special time in a sense. And they're both doing it, but of course they're doing it a little bit differently, but they're both actually influencing each other. It's more the Sumerians influencing the Egyptians, but it's still, I'm trying to say is what's influencing it is not, you need to build pyramids like our ziggurats. No, that's not. They're saying, here's this ziggurat, here's why we build it, and they're building something of their own cultural context, but with the cosmology and mythology very, in a sense, sort of similar. They're both called holy mountains or holy mounds, right? I mean, that's the part I'm trying to say, is that when you slow down and then look at what they're really doing and saying, that is when, to me, it becomes clearer that the ideas are shared in a way that I know people don't always grasp. But I know it's hard, because we're taught, to just think of pyramids as some things that just, like Graham Hancock, came out of nowhere, but they're not. And here's my idea real quick to bring people back to how mounds and all this relates in a sense to the stuff and how they're similar. So the Mesopotamians have the mountain, right? The Dooku we talked about, which is also considered a holy hill, which also has a temple on top, just like their ziggurats where the gods live, just like the ziggurats. And then you have the Egyptian mound of creation, which the gods come and live on top of, or the sun god rises out of, or a bird lays an egg and the egg cracks and the god comes out of that, or out of the mound grows a lotus flower, and out of the lotus flower comes a god. Still same thing. Then the next version, which is another, right, curve Ker, because Der Ker is a specific Ker, where Ker all by itself means this two-mounded mountain, which is still one unit. And then out of that, the center of that comes the sun. And the Egyptians, Diju, is a two-mounded mountain. By the way, this is also called the Mount of Creation, even though it used to be just one mound. Now it's two mounds. And then later it becomes a pyramid mound. It's still called the Mount of Creation. Then it becomes like a step pyramid. Then it becomes in a sense, sharp-sided pyramid, still called the same thing, Mount of Creation, and a Ben stone, even though it keeps changing shapes and keeping the same mythology similarities, cosmological similarity. And that's what I'm saying. You can't, even they are showing, you can't be like I know some people want to do and say, well, this means this, and so anything version that's different has to be something new. Well, they themselves, and we know they're the same culture, so I'm not even saying other places, right? The Americas or China, or I'm just saying them themselves, they're showing us it can be shown and expressed in different ways and yet be the same or very similar thing. And all could consider to be not different, even though they literally are different. And like I said, this is important because it can be confusing, but when you slow down and look at the things part by part, and then so the first mounds and the mountains or hill, like I talked about, the Mesopotamian and the Mound of Creation, that's really very similar. And then the two-thing mountain, pretty similar. And then the sun comes out of both of them, so really similar. And then the step pyramid, the first step pyramid for the Egyptians is the exact same number as the Mesopotamian step pyramid that they built. So the exact number of steps, the only difference is the Babylonians went ahead and put a temple on top of it, like the Dur-Kur that we just read, where the gods live in. So it's like a pyramid that the Egyptians, like a step pyramid, almost copying from what the Egyptians are doing. They just made it their own cultural thing and put the temple on it like their belief, because their mound, even though it's similar to what the Egyptians, like I said, the Egyptian mound also has the sun god on top of it, or an egg that splits and becomes a sun god, or Ra or Amen, and also, or has the mound and then a little flower grows out of it, and then a god comes out of that. So the difference is the Egyptians don't have a house for the god on top of their hill, but the Mesopotamians do. But other than that one little factor, it's almost the same. And then how they even draw them, because these are not my drawing. Oh, it's my art, but of their, in a sense, concept. I'm just showing, look at how their concepts tell me it's not related at all.
It's practically identical.
Practically identical, and they have similar things. So in the middle of this two-thing mountain, Sumerians or Babylonians, they have a sun coming out. And then in the Egyptians, the sun comes out, and these two mountains also mean horns, like a bull. And in this, we've seen pictures of the bull horn with the sun in the middle. Right. It's all the same. It's not the same structure, but they're saying to you, why are you focusing on, right? Because sometimes it can be a bull, sometimes it can be a female, sometimes it can be a mountain. Why? Because it's not any of that. It's a representation of a cosmological, mythological understanding, right? Once you stop making it like a have to, then it becomes easier to understand. When you grasp that this is about, that's why the structures, right? Like people will say, well, that's why I say they're wrong when they go, oh, well, a pyramid is not same as a kurgan, is not same as a dolma, is not same. And I'm like, you're not getting that. I'm not saying they are similar. Are these all similar? But yet they say they're all similar, right? Because it's not the structure that matters. You're misunderstanding. It's the cosmological understanding. It is the mythological understanding. That is the point. And that is why they can have animals as deities, but they're also women, and they're also like a thing, depending on how they're depicted or how they're used or how they're related, which I know to us is like, okay, pick a side. When they're like, yeah, but the side is, it's not a specific thing. And that is, so it's our limited thinking, not what they're trying to say, that's confusing. It's that we are confused because we we are confused, not because they are. We're saying it. So that's why I feel like we get lost when we try to understand this. We're like, well, how can it? I thought it was a bull. Wait a minute. It's not a bull. Oh, wait a minute. It's something else. Oh, it's just mountains that they're too peaked. That means bull horns, but it doesn't look like. Well, they also don't look like exactly breasts, but they are breasts in a metaphorical sense, and thus they're women in a metaphorical sense. But you need to get that when it's cosmological and mythological, it is in a metaphorical sense. We can't. So that's also why I really feel like the people that are like, oh, look at how this one thing in Egypt is similar to the one in. It has to be that they had the same technology. I'm like, dude, you guys are talking about technology, and these people were talking about metaphors and spreading metaphorical, cosmological, mythological ideas, and you guys are fucking lost if you think that they're spreading the same way to build rocks. I mean, and also, I'm not saying that they in fact, I absolutely do not believe they spread the ideas of how to build rocks. So I don't 100% disagree with it. Rocks is an easy way to build and to stack into a temple or whatever. But that's not why they're doing it. Why do they desire to stack rocks to begin with is what I'm talking about, which is the shared spread idea, which is how they relate, which is why they can be a mound. They can be a mountain. They can be, like that one thing we read in Axis Mundi, it says it can be a pole, it can be smoke, it can be fire, it can be a mountain, it can be a tree. And you're like, wait a minute, that's too many things.
But it's just like different objects or different shapes that are like similar, that are representing like this core idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have to stop seeing it the way we're forcing it to be seen. And so looking at high technology and all this dumb shit, that you're never going to grasp what the fuck is going on if you keep forcing it to be in our understanding. So one is the cow and one is the female, and it is the exact same thing. And it's also the ocean. So it's all the same thing. So if you don't get that, so it doesn't matter if it's in the female shape or the bull shape. To us, it does. Doesn't matter if it's in the Kurgan shape or the, you know what I'm saying? That you're focusing on the wrong thing, buddy. And also why I know that when I say it, people, I'm not, you think, right? So I say stuff that aren't exactly what archaeologists say, but yet I'm like not liked at all by the pseudo archaeologists either, right? Because I explain the shit they try to sound mysterious in a way that's not mysterious and doesn't support what they're saying, and yet is different a little bit than what the archaeologists, in a sense, frame the stuff as. So, but it's not like, I found some niche where I can be different. No, I'm explaining to you what I see. So that's why I feel that whether it's a dolmen, which is a dirt mound with a little mountain or a little rock thing inside of a burial, or it's Iraq and it's a ziggurat, or it's Egypt and it's a pyramid, or it's in, Indonesia or Mexico or India or China or England or Japan or California or South America or Florida or Mongolia, which is that last picture on the bottom of rocks with the stick in the middle. There's blue, cloth tied to it.
Okay.
That they go on top of a mountain and they build a little mountain of rocks, and then they put a stick in it as the Access Mundi, in a sense. Yeah, because that's what the whole thing is. All these are similar ideas. Yes, they're all a little different, but just like I was trying to say, if you don't grasp that what I am saying about all this stuff being a little different, then you're missing the point. It's what's similar is not the structures itself. Just like I'll go real quick to show pyramids. So this is just the Egyptian pyramids, right? And they're not all the same size. So people don't always think about this. They're not always the same size. There's some, like one of them is bent, right? One of them is that sort of tannish brown one in the middle. It's kind of has a bent axis. It's not a straight slope. So, but none of them are the exact same size. Not even the biggest ones, right? They're a little bit different size. So it's not like, so when they get this thing of saying, oh well, they would put size because size means, it. And by the way, also, I'm not saying there's no astrological stuff that could be connected. I don't like to get into that because it don't need to explain what I'm trying to explain. So I do explain that the thinking, because you see, they're not even the same. So it's not even the same. They're not even the same size or the same height. None of them. So to think that there's some like culture telling you to do stuff and they're all mathematical precision, or man, you're focused wrong shit. Seriously, what the fuck? And like I told you before, look at their grade structures internally. Not one of the internal structures are the same, right? Not any of them.
Nope.
So it's to think that there's some super, advanced culture that's saying do everything. So why do they do everything different? Anyways, but we all see them as pyramids, like I said, and I'm saying the same thing too. It's all this stuff. It's just expressed in different ways. And so that to me is what you have to understand. It's not that it has to be the structure. If you're focusing, that's I guess what my point is. If you're focusing too much on the structure, you're missing the why. Why are they doing this? It's like going to a cathedral or something and then demanding we try to figure out why the stained glass is a certain way. They didn't build it for that. The structure is
goodness. No.
Right. So humans make mounds. They are representation of the mound of creation mythology thinking. And it could be something similar to that to me. And often a lot of these are like dirt mounds and there's water around. Yeah. Like the mound of creation coming out of the water. And often a lot of times even in the Americas, they put them near rivers and stuff. Yeah. Water. And the river, by the way, is also considered the cosmic river, like the cosmic ocean. It's another concept, which is the Milky Way in the sky, which, by the way, that snake thing, Tiamat, right? Yeah. Tiamat's tail is considered to be, so the Tiamat, right? Tiamat's tail is considered to be the Milky Way. Tiamat is shot by an arrow, right? Tiamat, just in the mythology, so you understand.
Okay.
In mythology, Tiamat, because it's not real, folks. Sorry. So Tiamat, here it says, in ancient Mesopotamian mythology, Tiamat is a primordial goddess of chaos, right? Remember I talked about. Because why is she chaos? Because she's the salt sea. Remember, the fresh water separates from her and becomes Abzu, which is, anyway, it says, according to the Babylonian creation epic, Emu Elish, the hero god Murdoch defeats her, splits her corpse in half to form the heavens and the earth. Oh, remember we did that? And stretched her tail across the sky to create the what?
The Milky Way,
Milky Way.
Okay, yeah.
The myth of Tiamat and the Milky Way represents translation from dark, chaotic universe to a what?
To an organized cosmos.
Right.
Yeah. Whoa.
Right, which is that's what I'm trying to help you understand. I understand what they're trying to express. These are ideas ordered from disorder. So Ku is the mountain and Diku is a specific mountain in a sense.
Okay. Du Kug, where we left off.
Right.
House, which is the Holy Mound or Great Mountain. According to the University of Pennsylvania Online Dictionary of Sumerian and Akkadian Languages, Duku is actually, with Du being defined as a mound or ruined mound, and Ku is either ritually pure or shining. It is used in the text.
So just stop right there for a second, because I want to even remember we talked about how the sun comes out like on the mound of creation, shining.
Yeah.
And then the temple where the gods lived is the shining place on top of the mountain. You see what I'm saying? How once you slow down and really think about what they are fucking saying and what these words mean.
It is used in the texts of the University of Oxford's site as shining. There is no mention of nor association with term holy, and instead it represents a cultic and cosmic place.
Oh, so cosmic.
Okay, yeah.
So didn't Damien say that this is a cosmological, mythological thing? So that's why people that fixate to me on this advanced technology and the spreading of this advanced technology, that's not anything why these things are being built. You are focusing on the wrong thing that spread. What spread was not high technology, but low mythology.
The location is otherwise alluded to in sacred texts as a specifically identified place of godly judgment. The hill was the location for ritual offerings to Sumerian gods Nungal, and the Anuna dwell upon the holy hill in a text from Gilgamesh.
Right, So real quick, we're going to go and read what those two gods are about. The reason why, once again, when you understand what these symbolism are, because the gods are symbolizing. So what's Nugal?
Nugal, also known as Menungal and possibly Belati, was the Mesopotamian goddess of prisons, sometimes also associated with the underworld. She was worshipped especially in the Ur 3 period in cities such as Nippur, Lagash, and Ur.
Right, and since no one knows what the year god period is, we're going to go right there so we can figure out what that means.
The third dynasty of Ur, or Ur 3, was a Mesopotamian dynasty based in the city of Ur in the 21st century BC.
Right, and 21st century is basically 4,100 years ago, in a sense.
And that's nice. They have a nice little map on the side showing their culture's influence area.
Right.
Or just like the main territory.
Right, it's important to understand. So we're going to go back, because I want you to understand what we're talking about, because I know that when you understand like what's happening, who they're referring to, it starts to make more sense. And who was this person? Is the husband of Bitum, right? She was regarded as a daughter of Enlil, and Enlil is the weather deity who separated the heaven from the earth. See here? And also considered the moon rope of heaven and earth. Anyway.
Yeah, Enlil's primary center of worship was the Ikur temple in the city of Nippur, which was believed to have been built by Enlil himself and was regarded as the mooring rope of heaven and earth.
Right,
so that's pretty significant for them.
You already know now that Kur is mountain, so what is Ur-Kur?
Ur-Kur, also known as Duranki, is a Sumerian term meaning mountain house. Ah, okay. It is the assembly of the gods in the garden of the gods. Parallel in Greek mythology to Mount Olympus, and it was the most and it was the most revered and sacred building of ancient Sumer.
And real quick, just because look what it says, there is a what? There is a
clear
Graham Hancock no association.
There's a clear association of Ziggurats with mountain houses.
Oh my God, it's almost like Damien is trying to teach truth, huh? Oh man, maybe I'm right. And then here we see Nippur. They did, by the way, that thing on top is a reconstruction that I think Saddam Hussein did, because the thing below it that looks like just dirt was actually not just dirt and was mud bricks that are, of course, thousands of years look just like a dirt mound. But anyway, so once again, but once you already understand that Kur is mountain, you know Kur is telling you something, because Kur, we'll go just for the hell of it. What does Kur mean?
Mount or netherworld.
Right, which is otherworldly mount, which is a cosmological, mythological thing, right? And then its symbol is those three little like pyramid things. See, Kur is those three little things, which can mean, see, once again, once you understand that it's, like I said, a metaphor, then you understand why it could be a mountain. It can be a foreign land or a country. It can be east or east wind. Oh, wait, it's a mountain and it's also wind, and it could also be the netherworld. But you see how if you think of it, it has to be this thing, and you don't understand that it's a metaphor. And that's why the temples being built are metaphor mountain houses. Anyways, going back, so like I said, you see why it's important to kind of dig deeper into this, and not just, unless you have, of course, people that have can be bored, feel like I'm going back and back and back. But I feel like if we don't kind of give the background, then it requires you to believe that I'm saying the truth, these ideas being connected, instead of being able to read it and then understanding that these things.
Yeah, and that's much better,
right?
Than just believing it, just taking faith on like.
I don't like faith. I don't believe in it.
Nope.
I'm an atheist and I'm a rationalist. As a rationalist, faith, but I don't have such a thing.
Just believe what I say. Have faith in my statements.
Right, and Graham Hancock's like,
you.
Oh, I have faith that my reasoning is really good. It's not really good. Well, look at how these things look similar. I'm sorry. Did you think that's how I do it? No, I demand that my thinking has to be grounded in something better than they look similar. Because I've been so before. You just think
so-and-so told me that they're connected.
What's that?
Like so-and-so, like this person told me that this thing's connected, instead of like laying it out, like showing concrete evidence that like that's the case. case.
Concrete evidence and explaining it. That's why I know my videos are long and boring in a sense, but only because they demand you to have to learn shit. And then when you learn it, then you know. Isn't it better to know, though, than to like speculate and guess and mystery? There's no mystery. It's complicated, but it's not a mystery. It's also why I don't like when some people just go, well, the only reason they did it was because it's a good way to stack rocks. And I'm like, yeah, as an archaeologist, I really feel like you're failing if you don't give a better answer than that, because that's not actually the answer. Because I feel like it's not that stacking rocks in that shape is not a reason to maybe stack rocks, but why do you stack a rock 300 feet high? And it's just because that's easy. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't even.
Like even if you just think about it for a little bit, like just stacking rocks, there are so many different ways to stack rocks. So,
and also a lot of the platform mounds have flats on top and are not into a straight pyramid shape. So even if the stacking rock, it's actually not great to do it that way. And then they have huge ramps, and then that's not a way to stack rocks. That's a way to keep using that structure. And why are they doing that? Anyways, but besides, like I said, I just feel like even if that was an answer, that doesn't satisfy the people, because it's not a great answer of why they are even doing this. Yeah, my answer is why they're doing that is religion. Why a lot of people all over the world still do dumb shit. Religion. Yeah. And then even that, you could say, well, that's too big of an answer. You're right. And then I give you the details. It takes 3 fucking hours. And
3 hours
more than one video, right? This is our second video talking about the same dumb shit that I keep hammering on. The water in the mountains. Well, yeah, you need to understand that, because once you watch and or read the blog and really understand this, you'll understand it does make sense because I'm explaining it.
Yeah, and not just that, it's a good buffer, like in case you encounter somebody like in public or on a YouTube video or social media in general that comes out of the woodwork and says, hey, look at the handbags from like the Middle East. They're all over the world. That must be like hyper diffusionism or like this ancient ice age society. Or
well, it's stupid too, because the ones like you're talking about in Assyria, right, to do that, those probably were pails of water, and then they take the magical cone and they dip it in the water and they sprinkle the magic water on plants. A magical plant, in a sense. It's about like fertility. It's a handbag.
Oh no, it's even beyond the Assyrians.
No, I know it's beyond. What I'm trying to say is, but when it's depicted in other sense, they don't have it also with cone. It's out of context, so it's not really the same thing, and it's not that it's a pail of water. You see what I'm saying? It first off, calling it a handbag, like I said, when it's a pail of water, I don't know. Does that sound correct to you when you call the Assyrians thing a handbag when it's probably a pail of water that they dip the fucking cone in and then sprinkle water from it as a religion, and it shows them literally holding the bag, holding a cone.
No, but they still call them all handbags.
That's what I'm saying. Literally, not. That's just because it looks just like that. I've heard them before when they have a bracelet and they call it a watch. It's a fucking bracelet. It's not a watch. They didn't have watches then. What? Ever seen like like a Native American jewelry where they put like a big thing with a whole bunch of gems and stones? It's round. Yeah, it's a bracelet. That's why it's just so painfully irritating, like you said, when I hear them talk as opposed to what I'm trying to show you. They literally just go, I have my own limited cultural knowledge of my culture that has nothing to do with this other culture. And I just look at it and go, well, that looks like something that I understand, when I'm trying to show you how we understand is totally unhelpful to grasp this stuff that I'm trying to show you. We have to break our understanding, our ethno bubble, our cultural limitation of thinking, and go into how they saw it. Then when we do that, then we can understand. You can't literally put our thinking now back to 4,000 years ago in a totally different area, in a totally different concept of how to even view religion, because you're going to be wrong. Like I said, it's I don't even like hearing them talk because it's just a waste of my time. Like 5 minutes of them is I can rather hear 3 hours of my stuff, because you're actually going to learn real shit and really understand, where theirs, no matter how long they talk, talk, it's literally you're unlearning reality. You're just getting some idiot giving you their opinion about dumb shit. It doesn't even mean fuck all. You're like, oh my God, no. Anyways, so that's like I said, that's why we're going to keep going. So that's why we're doing this blog, because I really want people to understand the Sumerians they think, oh, they invented everything. So then why don't you start with what they said? I don't know. Just maybe start there. Then make an opinion, I don't know, after you understand how they think. I know that's hard, but might be more accurate.
The location is otherwise alluded to in sacred texts as a specifically identified place of godly judgment. The hill was the location for ritual offerings to Sumerian gods Nungal and Unana, dwelt upon the holy hill in a text written from Gilgamesh. Okay, and that's the section on Dooku. Sumerian tablet of Ereshkigal. Enlil on the shore, where he kept watch over the Dooku, the holy mound of creation.
Right,
and
so pause for a second. On the shore, meaning he's either the mountain is on the edge of water, right? Like other places we talked about, the mountain of creation coming out of the water, or it's out in the water and he is watching it from the shore.
Okay. Sometimes Antu, sometimes Ninhursag, his eyes gleaming with fond laughter. But why did they leave the safety of the Dooku, the mound of creation? Why did they go beyond the waters of Mother Namu?
Right, and Mother Namu, remember, is the cosmic ocean.
Ninhursag, also Ninhursaga, is the Sumerian mother goddess and one of the oldest and most important in the Mesopotamian pantheon. She replaced the earlier mother goddess, Namu, also known as Nama, whose worship is attested as early as Dynastic 3, 2600 to 2334 BCE, of the early dynastic period, 2900 through 2334 BCE.
Right, so basically, which is like 4,000.
4,600
years ago. So almost 5,000.
Namu was a Mesopotamian goddess regarded as a creator deity, especially in the early Sumerian city Eridu, mother of An, heaven/sky god, and Ki, earth/mound of creation, as well as a primeval sea/cosmic ocean related to the goddess Tiamat. Namu, also read Nama, was a Mesopotamian goddess regarded as a creator deity in the local theology of Eridu.
Eridu is one of, real quick, so Eridu is one of the oldest cities in the Sumerians. They consider it, in fact, in the king's list, the first city.
It is assumed that she was associated with water. She is also well attested in connection with incantations and apotropaic magic.
So we're going to click on that real quick, just so we can see what that means.
Apotropaic magic, from ancient Greek, meaning to ward off, or protective magic, is a type of magic intended to turn away harm or evil influences, as in deflecting misfortune or averting the evil eye.
Right, and evil eye starts in Mesopotamia and goes all over. And in fact, even pre-Islamic writings and beliefs in Saudi Arabia, where Islam sort of started, those writings have a lot to do with evil eye. Evil eye, I think, in their thing was like envy, like people envy you, and that like throws like bad omen in the world or something. But we're going to click on it. Just understand, eventually, because of course it kind of adapts and changes, but it's like fate or something, but in a negative way. Go ahead and read it.
The evil eye is a supernatural belief in a curse brought about by malevolent glare, usually inspired by envy. Amulets to protect against it have been found dating to around 5,000 years ago. It is found in many cultures in the Mediterranean region, the Balkans, Eastern Europe, West Asia, Central Asia, South Asia, Africa, the Caribbean, and Latin America.
So pause for a second. Wait a minute. So another mythological idea comes from, or is first seen in Mesopotamia 5,000 years ago, is also seen all the way in the Americas and Asia and Africa and Europe. Tell me isn't so, Dylan. We're going to go back and then go back out. But so Namu, right? Going back to where we started, is related to that type of magic, and also related to protecting against the evil eye, which is idea from Mesopotamia or Middle East that then goes all over the place, or they all are similar somehow. And people didn't move. And when people move, the ideas, they kind of take their brain with them. So it's not unthinkable, right?
No, it doesn't seem too far-fetched.
Which is why also at the beginning, I showed those things showing movements of technology or ideas over to these different places. And then when you put that with mythology also moved, wow, it's not a shocker. It's just...
Yeah, because you got to think, with those maps we showed earlier, or that you showed earlier, like metallurgy, agriculture with the wheat and barley, those are really important foundational ideas and technologies.
And they all move the same way from the Middle East out over to their places. And then, like I said, so then when you have mythology doing the same thing, we know those people interacted. So,
so it doesn't seem that far-fetched that like some of these other like mythic ideas and mythemes are spreading with that.
They are.
Yeah.
At least that's how I see it. Let's put it that way.
She was regarded, Namu was regarded as the mother of Enki, and in a single inscription, she appears as the wife of Anu, but it is assumed that she usually was not believed to have a spouse.
Right, because she was considered to be a self-created or the first deity of deities, or even simpler than that, the substance from which was the cosmic water and the darkness, that later deities were birthed from. That she almost like she's a pre-deity, or maybe not a deity, but the substance from which deities arose, including the Mount of Creation or heaven and earth and all that, right? Because she's the mother of heaven and earth, meaning heaven and earth weren't there. It was only her, darkness and chaos and water. And then out of the darkness and chaos and water came order, which at first was still in the process of disorder because heaven and earth were connected. And then her son, Enlil, the wind, blows, like God's breath. Like it also talks about in the Bible, the Spirit of the Lord float over the water of the deep. Right. The breath then makes, or speech makes land separate from the sky. Anyways, so it made order from the disorder.
From the old Babylonian period onwards, she was considered to be the mother of On, heaven, and Ki, earth, as well as a representation of the primeval sea/ocean, an association that may have come from influence from the goddess Tiamat. While Namu is already attested in some sources from the early dynastic period, such as the Zame hymns and an inscription of Lugal Kisalsi, she was not commonly worshipped.
So pause for a second. So I know you don't know. Lugal is a type of classification of a person, like a status. Click on it. Lugal's Lugazi, right? So Lugal all by itself, I'm probably gonna have to see if they put it by itself. We'll just do Lugal because I think it means like king or like leader or big man. So I'm gonna have to do a thing of just Lugal, because a Lugal is a status situation, which, like I said, that's why it's not that the people have to, like me, know the meanings of all these words, but if you don't kind of understand the meanings of the words, then you don't understand what they're talking about. So read to me what a Lugal is.
Lugal is the Sumerian term for king or ruler. Literally, the term means big man. Okay, so in Sumerian, Lu is man and Gal is great or big. Yeah.
See?
Okay.
Right. So that's why it's important to understand these words, right? Because the words are going ahead and telling you stuff that if you don't understand this stuff, I know it can make it hard.
Well, yeah, if you don't understand like the basic concepts,
right? Because in other words, if you just rush, that's a person's name, and not realize, well, no, the first part is not a person. That's a status. That's saying who that person is, and then the last part is the name, which also probably has a meaning, but at least you know that first thing is a title. It's a big man Damien or big man Dylan. It's saying something. So we'll go back to the previous thing. No, I just want you, because it's important to understand what they're talking about, because there's all these words and stuff have deeper meanings.
Okay, so Namu, she was not commonly worshipped. A temple dedicated to her existed in Ur in the old Babylonian period. She is also attested in texts from the Nippur in Babylon. theophoric names invoking her were rare, with that of King Ur-Nammu until recently being believed to be the only temple. In the old Babylonian myth, Enki and...
Only example. Ur-Nammu was the king's name. He took that name. Nammu is the deity. So Ur-Nammu, Ur was a town, and he's calling himself Ur-Nammu, which is town of Ur, goddess of Nammu, as one name. Let's click on it. So
Ur-Nammu was a Sumerian king who founded the Sumerian third dynasty of Ur in southern Mesopotamia, following several centuries of Akkadian and Gauatian rule. Though he built many temples and canals, his main achievement was building the core of the Ur-3 empire through military conquest. Ur-Nammu is chiefly remembered today for his legal code, the Code of Ur-Nammu, the oldest known surviving example.
The oldest surviving example in the world. So a lot of people will say the Code of Hammurabi or whatever. No, the Code of Ur-Nammu is actually older. So we're going to click on that real quick. What's that now?
I'm familiar with the Hammurabi Code.
Right, so this is before that. What does this say?
The Code of Ur-Nammu is the oldest known surviving law code. It is from Mesopotamia and is written on tablets in the Sumerian language. It contains strong statements of royal power like, I eliminated enmity, violence, and cries for justice.
So I was always talk about it coming from an anarchist perspective. Cries for justice, as if that is something new, right?
That's ancient.
Yeah, like at least 6,000 at least, but yeah.
Ur-Nammu's.
Right, because a lot of people, and what would go to Ur-Nammu's code reforms have been seen as some of the earliest documentation of cases for regard for widows, orphan, and the poor.
So that's important.
Well, it also means that they have poor people.
Yeah.
Right, because in my opinion, capitalism is older than people think, or certainly the accedents of it, or the seeds of it, or the what gave birth to it. Poor people is not a new idea.
No, and having documentation showing that people were having a hard time getting things, or didn't have much even back then. That's important.
They're poor and they have cries for justice. Like I said, it's important to understand what these things are, so that when we're talking about them, you can grasp that. Don't just read over. And people, when you go to, like you talked about last time, that when you go to text, don't just read over something you don't understand. Go look it up, because often that's actually what you need to understand it better.
In the old Babylonian myth Enki and Ninmah, Nammu is one of the deities involved in the creation of mankind, alongside the eponymous pair and a group of 7 minor goddesses. Her presence differentiates this narrative from other texts dealing with the same motif. Nammu's name was represented in cuneiform by the Sumerogram Enger. Lexical lists provide evidence for multiple readings, including Nammu, Nama, and longer reduplicated variants, such as Namnamu and Nanama. A bilingual text from Tel Harmar treats this short and long forms of this name as if they were respectively the Akkadian and Sumerian versions of the same word. The name is conventionally translated as Creatrix.
Right. Real quick, because I know people don't know that Enagur is a thing. We're going to go ahead and look up just real quick, because I see that, because all these terms, I know they're important to grasp what they're talking about. So what does it say? Just an AI overview.
Enger is a Sumerian.
I think this is good to understand.
Enger is a Sumerian word that refers to the cosmic subterranean waters, the primeval ocean, or an abyss. Serving as a synonym for the Abzu. Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Right. And so just understand, we're not going to talk about it, but Abzu also is where, or the subterranean waters is where the Anunnaki come from, and the Anunnaki are what the ancient aliens or pseudo historians or whatever people think. Because Zachariah Hitchens, like the chariots of the gods, claimed that was the aliens that came from the planet Nibiru. It's all nonsense. This is nothing. The reality is that it's a subterranean water, so they would have came from under the earth, not another planet. So wrong.
In ancient Mesopotamian mythology, it represents the watery void from which the universe was created.
Right, because remember, the watery void was the dark, in a sense, pre-creation world, which I also have talked about, and I did a whole video on, because it's important to grasp. All these things are talking about. Here, I'll put a picture so you can, because like I said, the reason why I always am hammering all this stuff is because if you go too fast and don't understand what's being talked about and why it's important important. You won't understand how it relates to why there's these mounds and mountains and pyramids and ziggurats and all this stuff. How it's a cosmological, mythological. Go ahead and read this.
Pre-creation mythology, primordial darkness and water, a chaotic void pre-universe. Okay. New moon.
And then my feeling, might relate. So this is just my speculation. So we get that from actual evidence. My feeling is it relates to the time of the new moon when there is no visible moon, meaning darkness. Also, this is pre the moon starting to show itself, thus pre-creation to me.
New moon, the first lunar phase, is when the lunar disk is not visible to the naked eye. It is this dark moon phase, I think, could relate to the mythology of creation from chaos, creation ex materia or ex nihilo, dark nothingness, a formless, shapeless expanse, a primordial void or abyss from which the created universe will be made, which may be described as having the consistency of vapor or water, primordial waters filling the entire universe, cosmic sea/ocean, or primordial swamp, and sometimes even muddy.
Right. So it's important to understand that because that's what this is talking about, right? That's what Ingur is, the cosmic subterranean waters, the primordial ocean, or an abyss, which is also should say darkness that they didn't mention, and disorder, which they also didn't mention. But then it says down here, see, the primordial sea, Ingur is often closely tied to the goddess Namu, right? Which is the primeval ocean. In Sumerian texts, the sign Ingur is used to write her name. Anyways, we'll go back to the blog. I'm taking time to really go through this because even if you were to read the blog, these are some stuff you wouldn't get just by reading it unless you actually searched all these words. But I want you to understand why I'm on the right track. I know what I'm talking about. This is all metaphor. This is all cosmology and mythology.
This interpretation depends on the theory that it is etymologically related to the element Ima in the name of the goddess Ninima, which could be explained in Akkadian as Nab-Nitu or Bun-Nanu, two terms pertaining to creation. However, this proposal is not universally accepted. Another related possibility is to interpret it as a genitive compound, N plus Amma, Lady of the Cosmic River, but it is similarly not free of criticism, and it has been argued no clear evidence for the etymology of for Namu's name exists. Ancient authors secondarily etymologized it as Nig Nam, creativity, totality, or everything.
Right. Just so once again, but as you see, creativity, totality, and everything, this means that the thing itself, the being, the substance itself is not the point, is it? It's not the water itself, the darkness itself. It is the totality, the creativity in this sense, by the way, in a pre-creation thing would be the potential for creativity from the chaos, not the actual creativity itself. You have to slow down and think about what they're saying. Anyways, like I said, this is important because this is how you should actually understand pyramids and the ziggurats and these mounds, is to grasp that there's a lot of deeper, very contextualized stuff you got to grasp why what I'm saying is correct.
The sign Engur could also be read as Engur, a synonym of Apsu, but when used in this context, it was not identical with the name of the goddess, and Namu could be referred to as the creator of Engur, which according to Franz Wigerman confirms she and the mythical body of water were not identical.
Right, so that's what I'm trying to say too. Why that is so is because the mythological body of water is like the pyramid. She's the metaphor. She's the thing that the pyramid concept later emerges in a sense from. Like I said, I know it's hard because they're slowing down and putting it like one little piece at a time, and we're reading it as like a whole sentence, but that's not how we're really supposed to think of it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like if I said there's 10 steps, and then you say, well, it's a 10-step process. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't tell you the 10 steps.
No.
You get what I'm trying to say? Or 12 steps, like the 12-step program. Well, okay, that's the main idea put into a small package, but that doesn't tell you what the steps are. And then it also doesn't deny that you have to do each step individually. So that's what I'm trying to show you, especially in Sumerian, how they think is almost like in steps, and we're reading it like a sentence. sentence, which is not how you should exactly understand it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, Namu could be referred to with epithets such as lady who was great and high in the sea, nin a gal an naua.
So pause for just 1 second. Do you see how what I just said is expressed in that? How they put a space between everything?
Yeah, like there's multiple parts that go into this whole
It's like,
thing.
right? So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 step meaning one thing, but we as a nowadays don't think like that. We don't think in bop, 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 bop. We think blah. The whole concept is we're lazy. It's not that. It's just because our culture is different. So that's why I know that it feels like I'm being really didactic on this stuff, but it's because how they thought was very didactic. And if you don't get back to that thinking, you're glossing over how they saw the world.
Mother, okay, in that, all those steps, okay, then we go on to Mother who gave birth to heaven and earth, Ama to Anki.
Right, which is 4 steps, right? You see how when you start thinking, you start, oh, yeah, every time they're breaking it up.
Or first mother who gave birth all, or senior gods. Ama Palil U to Digir Sar Raki Ni.
How many is that? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Or is it 10? Anyways, but my point is, you see what I'm saying? That's what they say. Then they're giving to the English understanding of what all that means, because they have to do that. And the reason is because we do not think like they do.
No. The motherhood of Namu to heaven and earth is attested in texts like the God list. I'm unfamiliar with my Roman numerals that high.
That's fine. Just whatever.
A TCL.
Just so people understand, I don't really care if you get all the particularities. That's because actually I want you to grasp the metaphor. I'm just going to the particularities to show you the metaphors are not simplistic and limited to a thing like just a woman or just a cow or just a mountain or just a pole or just smoke or just, that's our way of being limited. They see things differently. So that's why I want you to get the metaphor is complex.
Okay. And is related to the status attained from the old Babylonian period onwards as the mother of An, heaven, and Ki, earth. Few sources providing information about Namu's character are known. Most of them come from the old Babylonian period. Based on indirect evidence, it is assumed she was associated with water, though there is debate among researchers over whether sweet or saline.
In my concept, she would have been both.
Okay.
It's because she's the chaos. She would be the mixture of both, and then it's the separation of them in a sense of the upper waters and the lower waters, which I'm going to go ahead and show a thing of the Sumerians because they're referring to the Babylonians. So I think it's important to go back to what do the Sumerians think? Because that should help you a little bit. I know this stuff is still complex because we see thing as a thing, not a thing can be different things depending on how it's stated or where you put it or how it's used or which I know for us. So here's the Sumerians, right? So the ring of water would be the whole universe. It's not a ring. It would be all of space. So you got to broaden your think. That's the earth, which is flat sort of with little mountains holding up the sky, which the air in between air bubble is what keeps that stuff, from falling to the earth. So, but like we also said, so you understand, see where it says the cosmic fresh water, and then the top doesn't say Abzu, right? The bottom does, because the top is different than the bottom. But in reality, it's the whole, in a sense, it's the whole universe is water. So, but Abzu also can mean water inside the earth itself, aquifers or whatever. Or you hit a well, you hit Abzu sense. You don't hit cosmic water above. The above water can also be salt water, which is the case, which I will do another picture, which is the case for the Babylonians, because the Babylonians make it a little more distinct in a sense. And also, by the way, that one picture, so here's another picture real quick. So this shows see the water above and the water below, and then the firmament, the flat earth. This is Jewish. See, the soul, that's where in a sense the dead are in Jewish cosmology, because they believe in a flat earth. And then there's the firmament, which is an air bubble holding up the above waters, just to understand, which all this stuff is very similar. It's not like it, but that's what I'm trying to say. The reason it's similar because it's similar cosmologies. It's not similar building techniques that you should be focusing on. That literally, I think, is a fool's errand. They built different building techniques almost everywhere they went. But why they wanted to build mounds and mountains and pyramid-looking step structures is because of the cosmology. So this is Babylonian. So it's two different views, because one is a view like the thing where it's the side view, which I know is not very helpful because it has all these weird numbers and stuff, but the numbers mean stuff too. Because if you see where it says 14, 15, 16, 7, and you read what it 14 to 70 is the cosmic ocean, the salt water, which would be Tiamat. Then the water inside the earth, which this is complex, but the water inside the earth would relate to Abzu, or fresh water, which was male, and the cosmic water, which is chaos water, right? Because you can't drink salt water. That's the chaos. Like I said, but then another view, this other thing is not a different one. It's the same understanding of the Babylonian, what they're saying, but it's showing it in a little bit understanding of in a mound or step mound sense. So earth is a step mountain in the ocean. So, which is still like the mound of creation for the Egyptians, which is also water surrounding a mound, right? So, because it's so different, like I said, but they are building them in a sense for different reasons, kind of, but the cosmology of the Bin, right? The mound that arose out of the primordial waters of Nu. And the primordial waters of Nu was the male god's female persona or transgender nature or whatever. And that was the primordial water or the cosmic ocean or the watery abyss, right? Which we already have seen that Sumerians called it that also. And then the god Amun, which is the sun, stands on top of the mountain. Right. The shining thing, like in the Sumerians, the Durkur, remember? The shining thing on top of the mountain or the mound, the holy mound. It's all the same thing.
It's the same concept.
It's correct.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same, but it is the same or very similar cosmological, mythological concept. So once you grasp that was what these things are, you grasp why they are doing it. Why are they building mounds? I have no idea. Yes, we do. We know exactly because they literally told us why they did, in a sense. So, and we already know Ziggurats are their magical mountain with the shining on top, and pyramids are the mound of creation cosmology idea of why they're building theirs. And the Babylonians are showing us, it's a step mound. We call it the earth surrounded by water. And the name, and look at how it breaks it up again. 1, 2, 3, right? San Du Yu is the Akkadian word meaning what? Mountain.
Yeah.
Which is also cosmic mountain, which is also the center of the universe and axis mundi in mound of creation. Dun, 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 dun. It's almost like all this stuff is related. Almost.
That's what it seems like.
Right? Yeah. Which is what I'm trying to hammer home. So when I say that this stuff is similar doing all the stuff, it's because I know it is. And here's a thing that shows all these different ones, all having just a little bit different, but yet all really kind of the same. This concept of the flat earth, the mountains, and the cosmic ocean, and it's spread all around the earth. Yeah. Because everyone's ancient cosmology and mythology shaped everyone's theology. And also, of course, their pyramids and mounds, because they're all doing stuff to relate to these things. And like I said, there's also ones that relate to the sun and the moon, like there's temples of the moon and temples of the sun. But once you understand, that's still in their cosmology because it's still part of this whole universe and mythological stuff that they're making that references not this thing, but something something else. It's a metaphor for the sun. The temple of the sun is not in a sense, a picture of the sun. Do you know what I'm talking about the temple of the sun?
Yeah.
In Mesoamerica, temple of the sun and moon, because actually that's what it is.
Wait, temple of the sun and moon.
I'm getting it now because I want you to, or pyramid, right? So
okay,
because I'm trying to show, I want you to understand that once again, once you grasp, it doesn't matter how they stack the rocks. Who cares what their building technology is? That's not what you need to be focusing on. Why are they stacking these rocks? Who cares if it's advanced or not advanced? That's not why they're connected. See what it says? The temples, pyramids. Go ahead and read it.
The temples or pyramids of the sun and moon are massive monumental structures located in Teotihuacan, Mexico, dating back to 100-200 AD. As one of the most influential ancient cities in Mesoamerica, its sacred layout featured these pyramids aligned with local mountain peaks and dedicated to the cosmos.
Oh, wait a minute. What? Cosmological?
Oh, that sounds familiar.
What? No. Come on, Dylan. It's almost like there's a conspiracy to make me look right.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so yeah. And,
pause for a second. So wouldn't you say that after some of the stuff that I've taught you and showed you and explained to you and helped you understand the sources, that you feel more confident?
Yeah, I would say that. Like, especially if you take your time to like read a paragraph, think about it, and then even go through the links and do reading on that to help build the concept. That really helps. You know, that's what I do with my research. Like, I won't read like paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. Like, I'll take my time to digest the information and go through and Google or research or do whatever to make sure all these concepts and facts fit together.
Right.
Like
and
just
don't
now.
You see too that unlike the Graham Hancock, there is no evidence. He just has all these wild speculation.
Yeah.
I'm showing you that the more you dig deeper to check Damien's stuff, the more you understand, holy shit, Damien's right.
Like I'll give like a small example, just something I just brought up for a little moment ago. When I was reading about the texts for the motherhood of Namu to heaven and earth,
Correct.
It gave the god list TCLXV. Well,
right.
I didn't notice the tiny little space between the TCL and the XV. Turns out TCL, that's not the Roman numeral. That's the code for the Sumerian tablet, and it's available on the Cuneiform Digital Library Initiative. It's TCL space 15. The XV, that's Roman numeral for 15.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and you can actually look at the tablet on the Cuneiform Digital Library Initiative. So that's pretty cool.
Right on. Yeah, and I think that, like I told you before, I think people should go through my stuff. I always say, don't believe me, go do more research. Because here's the thing. If someone's afraid for you to do that, they're not really telling truth. I know that the more you look into this, the more you'll be convinced that I am trying to teach you the truth. That's why I feel like it's totally the opposite. Graham Hancock, why do you challenge me? Why do you try to make me give you evidence? I mean, you guys are the bad guys. And Damien's like, please ask me more questions. Please dig into every single thing I say. Please. Because the only thing that'll happen is I'll have more converts.
See, and it's interesting, like, not only with Graham, like, Graham's the biggest one, but, like, his followers, too, or even just, like, the lost history industry crowd.
Right.
Like, one of the things Graham will say is, like, there's an archaeological mafia out to get him. You know, because they ask him questions and they challenge his ideas. Like, of course they're going to do that. Like, the stuff he's proposing, it's so extreme and, like, out of the ballpark for what most archaeologists have researched and published.
Well, and he doesn't have support. We can take take Wikipedia anywhere, right? Any AI, any Wikipedia, and just do what I'm saying, and it comes out to what I am saying. You don't have to ad lib. You just have to take a little bit of reason and then read what they're saying, and you're like, that is.
Or just, you know, even if you listen to Graham or one of those other people, just like do some Googling, just to read.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, just like do what Damien or even John Hoops has recommended multiple times. If you don't know where to begin, just go to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Just read the basic entry and go down to the bottom of the page, and you'll find a bunch of sources to get you started.
He doesn't even stick to what Wikipedia says. He doesn't even stick to a cursory cliff note of ideas. He already is lost. Boop, lost. He doesn't. My stuff is deeper, but even the cursory ideas back me up, and even a deeper look backs me up, and even a detailed look backs me up. Why? Because I am showing you what is and explaining what's really going on. So you can look as deep as you want. Please do. And you'll only find even more that, wow, okay, maybe there's something going on. Like I said, and that's true not just of the mythology, right? I don't limit myself to mythology. The DNA backs up all these DNAs moving around. It backs up the dog burials. It backs up the way that people do metallurgy, the way that the movements of wheat and barley, all this stuff. I can just keep pointing to stuff because guess what? It's all doing what I'm saying. But also, that's so that people understand, unlike Graham Hancock, I didn't start with my ideas and then go try to find stuff. I looked at all the evidence and realized, oh, wow, I think I know what's happening.
No, and that's one of the important things about doing like proper in-depth research, because what you find out really quickly is history isn't really something that you can just flatten out like Graham has tried to do with like his hyperdiffusionism ideas. Like pretty early on, you'll realize, like this stuff is incredibly complicated.
It is.
But that's what's like so interesting about it.
Right. And like I said, I know that the problem is people like generalizations, people like cliff notes, people want 10-minute videos at the most, 5-minute videos better, 4 2-minute videos even be better. The problem is you're actually either not going to get enough info, or you're just getting lies, or you're getting a misunderstanding, because it's zero chance that can happen. And you truly grasp, like, why are the Sumerian Ziggurats and, like Damien says, the pyramids, or even the pyramids in Mexico, why are they similar? It's not building techniques, fuckers. I never say that, and I don't believe that. And I think you need to stop thinking that and think what is actually true. It's the cosmological, mythological, religious reasons they're doing this. That is that. And that stuff, like I said, I can say even in their forum for, debunking, pseudo-archaeology frauds, fraudulent archaeology, the only comment I got was someone saying, well, that's true, but just not for the Romans and Greeks. I'm like, yeah, because they're known for building pyramids. But here's the thing too. I don't think that person is a bad person or wrong. I think that we've been taught to fight pseudo-archaeology by people that don't want to do like I did and dig so fucking deep into the mythology that I'm figuring out what is. And here's the thing. They're archaeologists. They're not mythologists. They don't need to. No. Not saying that some don't look into mythology or whatever, but that's not their thing. So the fact that even if they never do that, that's not their job. And I told you before, I don't fault them for not doing it. I don't want to learn more than I fucking have to either. I guarantee it, I don't. In fact, here's the thing too. I told you before, I actually don't like reading all this stuff. It's not like I geek out on it. I really care. My motivation, like Graham's motivation is money. So he's a fraud for money. But that's actually, my motivation is not fame. My motivation is not some personal prestige or any bullshit. I'm an anarchist. I don't care about prestige. I care about humanity. And I care about all of us being empowered. And I know that knowledge is power. Understanding how to think, how to research on your own. I've done most of my research on my own. So I'm trying to teach you how to do research on your own, how to think rationally on your own, how to get to the critical thinking of conclusions on your own. So you don't need Damien to go through and figure all this out for you, or that, you can't go and figure out more that I haven't addressed, because my thing is wanting to empower people, because I realize that religion has done a really good job of disempowering people and teaching people to be okay with hierarchy and okay with oppression or leaders. And we never needed to have any of that fucking nonsense. Just like I really hate the electoral college. I mean, so we have leaders for our democracy? The fuck is that bullshit? Anyways, but my point is, I really don't, that's why I also don't care if you get every little particular detail. I'm teaching you a method, how to be rationalist, how to be reasoned in your conclusions, how to draw information, how to look at information and slow down and understand what's being said, and then grasp, people look and say, oh, these things look similar. And I go, they are kind of related. And they're like, aha. I'm like, no, not like you think.
Don't just blindly believe what somebody tells you. Just because you notice like 2 pyramids, one in the Americas and one in Egypt, just because they look similar doesn't mean people back then had airplanes or helicopters and were sharing architectural techniques.
They weren't.
No,
they weren't.
But that's what the lost ancient high technology crowd. That's like one of the ideas, or like a theme of ideas that they propose, because they're looking at this stuff from like a modern point of view. They're not putting themselves in the shoes, in the mindset of people back then. So
because once you do, then
Yeah.
don't you see?
Yeah.
Once you do, that the answer becomes clear. It's a cosmological, mythological thing. It's not a technology thing. It's almost like they have the answer also, that it's about building rocks. How do we stack rocks? They think it's a technical, logical thing of understanding how they stack the rocks. And I'm telling you, who gives a fuck that you can stack rocks? In fact, if they did a shitty job, that doesn't even matter, because that wasn't the point. You guys literally cannot see the forest for the fucking trees. That is not the fucking point.
No.
You get what I'm saying, right? It was the metaphor. It's like when you say land of the free, home of the brave. That's a metaphor, because America is absolutely not that.
No, and and they get so worked up over like stones and giant monuments, like just across the world, and how it must be related, like not cosmological, but like technological.
That's what I'm saying.
To the point where some of them are even proposing like the pyramids, like Christopher Dunn, like he's proposing the pyramids are like electricity plants or something like that.
And you
like
see what I'm trying to say. All that shit, if you really understand what I'm trying to say, you understand all that shit should be laughed out of the fucking room. It's a fucking joke. And when I say all this stuff is similar, I'm not talking about the fucking structures. That's why a shell mound, an earth mound, a dirt mound, a stone mound doesn't matter, because it's not about that.
No,
it's a metaphor for the other stuff, and what the metaphor is a cosmological, mythological. And once you grasp that is what's similar. And when you read what they think about it, then you go, wow, they do all say that. Yeah, because that is the answer. You guys are looking at wrong fucking stuff completely. If you're talking about technology, you are lost, because that is not what happened. Completely not. It is, that's why I'm saying why I'm taking time and making all this really, tedious, because once you grasp that, you don't even have to listen to them. It's not, well, let's consider it. It is nothing to consider. You're wrong. Move on. Well, you haven't even listened to me. Buddy, I don't need to. Did you just say it was about a technology? Okay, done. I'm already done. You're wrong. Anyway, so we'll read a little more.
In Mesopotamian religion, Tiamat is the primordial sea mating with Abzu, or Apsu, the groundwater, to produce the gods in the Babylonian epic Enuma Elish, which translates as when on high. She is referred to as a woman and has, at various points in the epic, a number of anthropomorphic features, such as breasts, and theriomorphic features, such as a tail. In the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian epic of creation, Tiamat bears the first generation of deities after mingling her waters those of Apsu, her consort. The gods continue to reproduce, forming a noisy new mass of divine children. Apsu, driven to violence by the noise they make, seeks to destroy them and is killed. Enraged, Tiamat also wars upon those of her own and Apsu's children who killed her consort, bringing forth a series of monsters as weapons. She also takes a new consort, Jingu, and bestows on him the Tablet of Destinies, which represents legitimate divine rulership. She is ultimately defeated and
slain. Pause 1 second. So divine rulership. So that's the same as the divine right of kings in Europe, and also the mandate of heaven in China.
Yeah.
And so you see how, once again, there's another, just like the Lugal means big man, and then also in Polynesia, they have the big man system, and then also in the Americas, they say big man came before chieftains, and chieftains later become kings, which is exactly what happened in the Middle East too. It was Lugals, and then chieftains, and then kings. And sometimes Lugal or big man literally meant chieftain, or sometimes also king.
She is ultimately defeated and slain by Enki's son, the storm god Marduk, but not before she conjures forth monsters whose bodies she fills with poison instead of blood. Marduk dismembers her and then constructs and structures elements of the cosmos from Tiamat's body. Some sources have dubiously identified her with images of a sea serpent or dragon. Tiamat also has been claimed to be cognate with the Northwest Semitic word Tehom, meaning the deeps or abyss, in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 2. The Babylonian epic Enuma Elish is named for its incipit. When on high, high, or when above. The heavens did not yet exist, nor the earth below. Abzu, the subterranean ocean, was there. The first, the begetter, and Tiamat, the underground sea, she who bore them all. They were mixing their waters.
Right. So, and Tiamat births Abzu, and then Abzu helps birth with Tiamat everything else.
It is thought that female deities are older than male ones in Mesopotamia, and Tiamat may have begun as part cult of Namu, a female principle of a watery creative force, with equally strong connections to the underworld, which predates the appearance of Ea Enki. Harriet Crawford finds this mixing of the waters to be a natural feature of the Middle Persian Gulf, where fresh waters from the Arabian aquifer mix and mingle with the salt waters of the sea. Oh, that's interesting. So there's like a metaphor there. Like,
Right.
they could be getting inspired by like the Persian Gulf.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Well, and then, like I told you before, a lot of this stuff is that they look at their natural world. Like, I'll put the picture so you can read that. My opinion about religion, and I've told you this before. And some people think that I'm wrong, especially some atheists, because they think that religion was only created to, manipulate people. And I'm like, nah. Eventually, yes. After 5,000, probably. But at the beginning, no.
Religion began in wonder and ended with closed-mindedness. How odd is it that at the earliest echo of religion, they, most likely, were at some point honestly trying to understand the world around them in a deep time before understanding like science. Yet,
pause for 1 second about that. And that's why they're really explaining metaphors, trying to explain the world they think they're understanding. So when they make it monsters, it's not inherently that everything was a monster. Even like they say Tiamat, who people say are monster, even when she creates monsters, no, she creates like catastrophes, or they believe catastrophes are related to what she created. It's a metaphor, just so people can understand. The time before science, when you can't explain something, and I need to explain to you what a lightning strike is, and you've never seen one, or you haven't seen one yet, or something, and I explain, or once you see it, I go, yeah, that is this scary, dragon beast or whatever, or a lightning bolt is the hammer of God up in the sky. Because the only thing that I can relate it to as a metaphor is that a god is the same thing as a blacksmith hitting and sparks going. So I'm looking at natural sparks and going, well, that kind of looks similar. You know what I'm saying? So they just say so
it's a way of like relating it from like what's happening down here on the earth to what's happening like in the sky or in the heavens, like
or
whatever.
Yeah. Like natural things are happening, natural forces, animistic thinking that natural forces are magic because you don't understand science. You're not trying to make them magical. You do believe they're magical.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any reference.
Yet, since the earliest echo of science, this old desire for unbiased honesty, of truth and belief, to understand that world, came into conflict with religious beliefs removed from reality, and then a battle for what people believe or why truly began.
Right. That's my thinking of what happened.
This characteristic is especially true of the region of Bahrain, whose name in Arabic means two seas, which is thought to be the site of Dilmun, the original site of the Sumerian creation beliefs. The difference in density of salt and fresh water drives a perceptible separation. In the Enuma Elish, Tiamat's physical description includes a tail, a thigh, lower parts, which shake together, a belly, an udder, ribs, a neck, a head, a skull, eyes, nostrils, a mouth, and lips. She has insides, possibly entrails, a heart, arteries, and blood. Tiamat was once regarded as a sea serpent or dragon, although Assyriologist Alexander Heidel has previously recognized that a dragon form cannot be imputed to Tiamat with certainty. She is still often referred to as a monster, though this identification has credibly challenged. In Enuma Elish, Tiamat is clearly portrayed as a mother of monsters, but before this, she is just as clearly portrayed as a mother to all the gods.
Right, and that's like if I say that to me Trump is a monster, do I mean that he's literally green with horns?
No.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
If I say Trump acts like a dragon going through a town and pillaging and burning up everything, all the townspeople die and suffer, and he steals all their gold and puts it on a mountain for himself to sit on, does that mean that he's an actual dragon and can fly?
No, it's a metaphor for his behaviors.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
That's why the same thing of why it doesn't matter what technology they built a fucking stack of fucking rocks with, because that never's what mattered. It was a fucking metaphor. Like, oh my God, you took it seriously? Holy shit.
In Enuma Elish, Tiamat is clearly portrayed as a mother of monsters, but before this, she is just as clearly portrayed as a mother to all the gods.
And then
so it's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor because she's also considered the waters, which, like I told you, was the chaos with the creativity potential. And then the deities emerge out of the water or out of that creative potential. It's not like she actually physically gave birth or is an actual woman. She's not a woman. You see what I'm saying? That's a metaphor.
With Tiamat, Abzu or Apsu fathered the elder deities Lahmu and Lahamu, masculine the hairy, a title given to the gatekeepers at Enki's Abzu/Iangura temple in Eridu. Lahmu and Lahamu, in turn, were the parents of the ends of the heavens. Anshar, from Ansar, heaven totality/end, and the earth, Kishar. Anshar and Kishar were considered to meet at the horizon, becoming, thereby, the parents of Anu, heaven, and Ki, earth. Tiamat was the shining personification of the sea, who roared and smote in the chaos of original creation. She and Abzu filled the cosmic abyss with the primeval waters. She is Umu Huber, who formed all things. In the myth recorded on cuneiform tablets, the deity Enki, later Ea, believed correctly that Abzu was planning to murder the younger deities as a consequence of his aggravation with the noisy tumult they created. This premonition led Enki to capture Abzu and hold him prisoner beneath Abzu's own temple, the Iabzu, Temple of Abzu. This angered Kingu, their son, who reported the event to Tiamat, whereupon she fashioned 11 monsters to battle the deities in order to avenge Abzu's death. These were her own offspring: Basmu, venomous snake; Usu Mugalu, great dragon; Mus Mahu, exalted serpent; Mushusu, furious snake; Lahmu, the hairy one; Ugalu, the big weather beast; Ure Dimmu, mad lion; Gertablu Ulu, scorpion man; Umu Dabrutu, violent storms; Kululu, fishman; and Kursari, bull. Tiamat was in possession of the Tablet of Destinies, and in the primordial battle, she gave the relic to King, the deity she had chosen as her lover and the leader of her host, and who was also one of her children. The terrified deities were rescued by Anu, who secured their promise to revere him as king of the gods.
Now, do you remember I told you before what king of the gods means? That's like a supreme deity, like a council. We'll click on it. It's an important understanding.
As polytheistic systems evolve, there is a tendency for one deity to achieve preeminence as king of the gods. So that'd be like Zeus or something.
Correct. See, you're getting it.
Yeah. For example, by being their sky father, this tendency can parallel the growth of hierarchical systems of political power in which a monarch eventually comes to assume ultimate authority for human affairs. Other gods
come to serve in divine councils. Well, in the Bible, it talks about God, the God of the Bible, being head of the council of deities, and this is what it's talking about. Similar type of thing. And we're going to click on Skyfather too, because I already showed you. Remember the picture of the Skyfather and the Earth Mother. I want you to read real quick what this is, because I know people, because that is relating to this similar concept.
In comparative mythology, Skyfather is a term for a recurring concept in polytheistic religions of a sky god who is addressed as a father, often the father of a pantheon, and is often either a reigning or former king of the gods.
See how king of the gods again?
Yeah. The concept of Skyfather may also be taken to include sun gods with similar characteristics, such as Ra.
We've already talked about that's on top of the Mound of Creation.
Yep. The concept is complementary to an Earth Mother.
Right,
and
because
we've already
the
talked
Earth
about the
Mother
Earth
is
Mother.
the Mound of Creation itself, and Ra, the sun, would be on top of her. All right.
Yeah, and we already showed and talked about that map that you designed earlier, showing different language groups.
See, you are remembering. You're getting it, Dylan.
Okay.
I'm gonna make the impossible possible for you.
Oh, okay. He fought Tiamat with the arrows of the winds, a net, a club, and an invincible spear. Anu was later replaced first by Enlil, and in the late version that has survived after the first dynasty of Babylon, then subsequently by Marduk, the son of Ea.
See, pause for a second too. Once you understand that it's kind of a metaphor, then the switching of these god names from one to another really doesn't matter. In fact, even Marduk, logic, right? Eventually, just like in the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna says, well, actually, there's only one God, me, and all the other gods are lesser personifications or avatars of me. Well, that's actually what Marduk says. Anyways, let's just read what really quick, what about him?
Marduk was a god from ancient Mesopotamia, patron deity of Babylon. First sparsely attested in the 3rd millennium BC, Marduk slowly rose to prominence before being enshrined as leader of the Mesopotamian pantheon under Nebuchadnezzar I in the 2nd millennium BC. In Babylon, Marduk was worshipped in the Isagila temple, believed to have originated as an underworld god, a storm god, or an agricultural deity. Marduk came to be worshipped as a god of creation, justice, water, agriculture, magic, and medicine.
And to pause for a second too, because this is something else important. Do you see how a god literally can have all these different attributes? So when like people think like sometimes that a deity is one or the other, the deity, like, well, you're saying that it can do all these different things. Yeah, the deity was able to do all these different things. And look at down here, the deity may have had 50 symbolic names.
Goodness.
And look at one of the names of that deity, the highest in the house of the gods, the king of the gods of heaven and earth, right? Didn't we just talk about the king of the gods?
Yeah. See, like just the 50 symbolic names, that reminds me of Odin, like how he's supposed to have like 1,000 different symbolic names.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's also what I was saying too, that those symbolic names later, he says something about how all these other deities are kind of just representations or avatars of him. We'll go back but my point was to show once again, king of the gods, this or the highest house. Well, the highest house in Sumerian was on top of the Diakur mountain where the deities lived, or like you said, Mount Olympus, you know.
Slicing Tiamat in half, Marduk made from her ribs the vault of heaven and earth.
And by the way, that's the firmament, the vault. That's what they're talking about, the bubble.
Her sweeping eyes became the sources of the Tigris and the Euphrates. Her tail became the Milky Way. With the approval of the elder deities, he took the tablet of destinies from Kingu and installed himself as the head of the Babylonian pantheon. Kingu was captured and later was slain. His red blood mixed with the red clay of the earth would make the body of humankind, created to act as the servant of the younger Igigi deities.
Right, and some people try to say like the Anunnaki and humans were created to serve the deities, to get gold or whatever in the fantasy novel Chariot of the Gods by Zachariah Sitchin, which we know is a pseudo-archaeologist or pseudo-historian or whatever you want to call it.
The principal theme of the epic is the rightful elevation of Marduk to command over all the deities. It has long been realized that the Marduk epic, for all its local coloring and probable elaboration by the Babylonian theologians, reflects in substance older Sumerian material. American Assyriologist E.A. Spicer remarked in 1942, adding, "The exact Sumerian prototype, however, has not turned up so far. However, this surmise that the Babylonian version of the story is based upon a modified version of an older epic, in which Enlil, not Marduk, was the god who slew Tiamat, has been more recently dismissed as distinctly improbable. One example of an icon that was more so a motif of Tiamat was within the Temple of Bel, located in Palmyra. The motif depicts Nabu and Marduk defeating Tiamat. In this picture, Tiamat is shown as a woman's body with legs which are made of snakes. It was once thought that the myth of Tiamat was one of the earliest recorded versions of the Chaos Kampf, a mythological motif that generally involves the battle between a culture hero and a chthonic or aquatic monster, serpent or dragon. Chaos Kampf.
Right. And didn't we talk last time about, I think we did, right? About how the, in a sense, Nordic fighting the sea serpent and the Bible fighting the sea serpent are sort of similar. Didn't we talk about that last time?
We touched on that a bit.
Oh, the Leviathan.
Yeah, there you go.
So go ahead and read that. So they're saying it's the first of that thing, the Tiamat story. So go ahead and read what the Bible says.
In biblical mythology, Leviathan is a giant sea serpent, often an embodiment of chaos. In Psalms,
right, so pause 1 second. Do you see how the sea and chaos mean sort of cosmic ocean? Because that's what the chaos is, or the primordial thing.
And Leviathan, it's being talked about in Psalms, Job, Isaiah, and the Book of Enoch. Then on the right, we have Jormungandr. In Norse mythology, Jormungandr, Midgard serpent or world serpent, monstrous sea serpent or worm who dwells in the world sea.
Right, and the world sea, they mean it by the cosmic ocean, or in a sense, Abzu, or the Tiamat, in a sense. They're referencing that type of a concept, not that the Atlantic Ocean has it or something. Then we have, of course, the Tiamat.
This is being depicted on a Neo-Assyrian cylinder seal, impression from 800 BCE, identified by several sources as a possible depiction of the slaying of Tiamat from the Enuma Elish. And like we've been talking about, Tiamat is the cosmic ocean that mates with Abzu, groundwater, to produce the Babylonian pantheon.
See, look at you. You got this. I can feel confident now that you're at least somewhat aware of what's happening.
Well, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
Day by day, we're getting there.
But doesn't it make you feel more understanding that you see how metaphorical this stuff is?
Oh yeah, it's loaded with metaphoric symbolism.
You got it. That's you see, you do understand. Real quick though, we're gonna click on the consummate, since people need to understand what that is. It's the battle against what? Chaos or disorder, which is how the world started, in chaos, and then order happens, removing from chaos.
Okay, so Chaoskampf, it's German, the battle of chaos, or the combat myth, is a widespread mythological motif involving battle between a culture hero deity with a chaos monster, often in the form of a sea serpent or dragon. The term was first used with respect to the destruction of the chaos dragon Tiamat in the Enuma Elish, although the primeval state is one of a peaceful existence between Abzu and Tiamat, and chaos only ensues when Tiamat enters combat with Marduk.
Right, and go down here, see, look at, here's the one with the Bible, right? You see, it may refer to a dualistic
battle between two gods. In that context, an alternative term that has been proposed is theomachy, whereas Chaoskampf may be restrained to refer to cosmic battles in the context of creation.
So, did we talk about creation? What?
Yeah, we have. Oh, yeah. Huh.
Oh, it's almost like the more you do research, the more you understand.
Okay, so for example, a Chaoskampf may be found in the Enuma Elish. Okay, so we have that one. The only ancient Near Eastern text to place a cosmic battle in the context of a creation narrative, but not in the Baal cycle or Psalm 74. Where a theomachy ensues between Baal/Yahweh and the sea serpent Yam/Leviathan without being followed by creation. The notion of Chaoskampf may be further distinguished from a divine battle between a god and the enemy of his people. The chaos may be social or economic. Do
you see how it's metaphor?
Yeah. So they're taking this like huge divine battle and they're bringing it down to like a level that we can understand, something that's practical,
social or economic, right?
Social or economic. In a gift economy, a dragon hoarding treasure or cattle represents a violation of the social contract. Sometimes social violations lead to the battle with the dragon, as in the Homeric hymn to Apollo, when Hera betrayed Zeus by creating Typhon.
And what does this say here? North African and the Eastern? What? Oh, come on.
Okay. Yeah, so like Middle East and North Africa, such as the abstract conflict of ideas in the Egyptian duality of Mot Isfet, or the battle of Horus and Set, or the more concrete parallel of the battle of Ra, the chaos serpent Apophis.
Right, and then we already talked about the Bible, which I'm not going to read all of this. I just wanted you to get what this stuff is, which I know you already do now, is it's talking metaphors.
It's like these larger than life monsters that are representing, they're just metaphors. They're representing like stuff you can't understand, disasters, chaos in general, stuff like that.
And that's why, like I said, when you look at all these pyramids are similar, what Damien is seeing is, cosmologically and mythologically as metaphors, not as the actual way they piled the rocks even matters.
Chaoskampf motifs in other mythologies, perhaps linked to the Tiamat myth, include the Hittite Ilyanka myth, the Greek lore of Apollo's killing of the Python as a necessary action to take over the Delphic oracle, and to Genesis in the Hebrew Bible.
The Bible.
Oh, yeah.
Because Bible mythology, by the way, sorry people, is not special.
A number of writers have put forth ideas about Tiamat. Robert Graves, for example, considered Tiamat's death by Marduk as evidence for his hypothesis of an ancient shift in power from a matriarchal society to a patriarch. The theory suggested that Tiamat and other ancient monster figures were depictions of former supreme deities of peaceful, woman-centered religions. Their defeat at the hands of a male hero corresponded to the overthrow of these matriarchistic religions and societies by male-dominated ones. Nu mythology, an ancient Egyptian deity with a similar role. Chaos, cosmogony, ancient Greek deity with a similar role. Ymir, Norse, is similar, as well as Pangu, Chinese, and Sea of Suf, a primordial sea in the world of darkness in Mandean cosmology.
Right, because once again, you're seeing a lot of these cultures are similar. It's not because they're sharing high ancient technology, but they're sharing cosmology and mythology. So your guys are looking for the fantasy stuff when in reality there are stuff that is connected, but not the shit you're talking about.
Nu, watery one, or Nun, the inert one, in ancient Egyptian religion, is the personification of the primordial watery abyss, which existed at the time of creation, and from which the creator sun god Ra arose. Nu is one of the 8 deities of the Ogdoad, representing ancient Egyptian primordial chaos from which the primordial mound arose. Nun can be seen as the first of all the gods, and the creator of reality and personification of the cosmos. Nun is also considered the god that will destroy existence and return everything to the Nun whence it came.
I think that, in a sense, kind of is like the revelations in the Bible, right? God's supposed to come back and destroy heaven and earth and make a new heaven and earth. That's what the Christians are waiting on.
Oh yeah, like restore the world to its former glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice mythology there.
No cult was addressed to Nun. The ancient Egyptians envisaged the oceanic abyss of the Nun as surrounding a bubble in which the sphere of life is encapsulated, representing the deepest mystery of their cosmogony. In ancient Egyptian creation accounts, the original mound of land comes forth from the waters of the Nun. The Nun is the source of all that appears in the differentiated world, encompassing all aspects of divine and earthly existence. In the Ennead cosmogony, Nun is perceived as transcendent at the point of creation alongside AtHope, the creator god. In the beginning, the universe only consisted of a great chaotic cosmic ocean, and the ocean itself was referred to as Nun. In some versions of this myth, at the beginning of time, Mehet Weret, portrayed as a cow with a sun disk between her horns, gives birth to the sun, said to have risen from the waters of creation and to have given birth to the sun god Ra in some myths.
Right, and we'll click on her because what does her name mean?
Her name means great flood.
Right, and then it says here that is she just a particular thing? Well, it says here she gives birth to the sun at the beginning of time. In art, she's portrayed as a cow with the sun. We see it in the corner over here, just between her horns. She is associated with the goddess Nith, Hathor, Isis, all who have similar characteristics. Why, Dylan? Because they are metaphors.
Exactly.
Of cosmological mythology. And so, yeah. And oh, look, like the Eye of Ra, right? Which the Eye of Ra is a male deity, but the eye itself is not always male. Oh, what? Because this goddess known as Widjat, by the way, I cannot pronounce on this.
Wedjat?
Right.
No, look, can be equated with several particular deities, including Hathor, Sekhmet, Bastet, Rate, Tawi, Menhit, Tefnut, and Mut. So right there, you can, it's like another metaphor. You can have this, that's what it seems like. It's like this, you can have like these symbols.
It seems that way because that's what it is. Boy, it sure does seem this way. Yeah, there's a reason for that because that's the answer. Survey says. It says she's the what? She's the celestial cow. All right, because it's about cosmologies in space.
Okay, so is this the same cow that we saw, like blue with all the stars on it?
Well, that one's called Nut. So it's I know you start to blend all together because I'm very sorry, but
you have like this one cow that looks celestial, but then you have this other one.
Well, no, because they are. They're all related. No, you see, are you asking are they the related concept? Yes, they are.
Yeah,
that's Nut, the one that's both the sky and the star. stars, yes. Yeah, which actually
So,
they don't
yeah.
even mention there, do they? They don't even mention Nut. But I know, like, what, you left her
Well,
out.
it's just interesting because they're referring to it as a celestial cow.
Right, and then she's also a
Yeah.
woman. But hold on a second, we're going to go to there because you asked the question, and I absolutely want to help you understand. So go ahead and read about who Nut is.
Nut, also known by various other transcriptions, is the goddess of the sky, stars, cosmos, mothers, astronomy, and the universe in the ancient Egyptian religion. She is often depicted as a nude woman covered with stars and arching over the earth, and sometimes as a cow. Alternatively, she is identified with a water pot, nu, above her head.
Right, so a whole bunch of different ways to present her, and yet the same one, right? The same thing. Like here over here is a thing with the red circles. It almost looks like Hindu, right, with the different chakras.
Yeah.
Right, because what is it? I know you already got this. What is it really?
Just metaphors. Metaphors, yeah.
Oh, you
So,
do get it.
Yeah,
And
so,
that's
like,
why, like I said, when people have a hard time grasping what I say, when I say, oh, well, you need to understand that when you have a pyramid or a mound or a mountain or, all these things, how it can actually be, sorry to say, similar things, because you're not getting, these are metaphors put in physical form.
The universe was enwrapped by a vast mass of primordial waters, and the Benben, a pyramid mound, emerged amid this primal chaos. There was a lotus flower with Benben, and from this, when it blossomed, emerged Ra.
Which we already talked about earlier, remember? I referenced that?
There were many versions of the sun's emergence, and it was said to have emerged directly from the mound or from a lotus flower that grew from the mound in the form of a heron, falcon, scarab beetle, or human child.
See, now, once again, as we already talked about, the reason it can be a flower from the mound itself, a heron, a falcon, a scarab beetle, or a human child is why?
It's a metaphor.
Hair. See, you get it. It's only once you grasp that all of this starts making more sense.
In Heliopolis, the creation was attributed to Atum, a deity closely associated with Ra, who was said to have existed in the waters of Nu as an inert potential being.
Right, so a potential, because once again, the cosmic waters, which are chaos, are not order, but they have the potential for creativity, or the potential for creation, or the potential of deities as potential beings, which then are born or come out of the water because they separate from the chaos into order.
Beginning with the Middle Kingdom, Nun is described as the father of the gods, and he is depicted on temple walls throughout the rest of ancient Egyptian religious history. The Ogdoad includes, along with Naunet and Nun, Amaunet and Amun, Hahet and He, Kaket and Ket. Like the other Ogdoad deities, Nu did not have temples or any center of worship. Even so, Nu was sometimes represented by a sacred lake, or, as at Abydos, by an underground stream.
See, so pause for a second. So cosmic waters up in the ocean, in the air, or space, but also can be a lake, but also can be a stream. And so, ever heard of Viracocha, which I know Graham Hancock thinks is the white deity?
Yeah, the sea foam.
Right.
Yeah, foam from the sea in Peru.
See, Yeah. So we're going to go to Viracocha real quick so we can read about that and how he comes out of the lake and how that actually is referring to, like I'm saying, this cosmic ocean and cosmic waters. Because remember, it says even the Egyptians that a lake can be referencing this type of thing. It doesn't have to be the actual ocean.
Viracocha, also Huiracocha, Quechua Huiracocha, or Kucha, is the creator and supreme deity in the pre-Inca and Inca mythology in the Andes region of South America. According to the myth, Viracocha had a human appearance and was generally considered as bearded. According to the myth, he ordered the construction of Tiwanaku. It is also said that he was accompanied by men, also referred to as Viracochas. It is often referred to with several epithets. Such compound names include Tissi Viracocha, Kontiti Viracocha, and occasionally Kontiki Viracocha. Other designations are the creator Viracochan Pachayachika-chan, Viracocha Pachayachachi, or Pachayachachik, teacher of the world. For the Inca, the Viracocha cult was more important than the sun cult. Viracocha was the most important deity in the Inca pantheon and seen as the creator of all things, or the substance from which all things are created.
See, now that's the part that's important. The substance from which all things
like
the cosmic sea, right? It says intimately associated with the sea, but it's the sea, but yet he's associated with the lake.
And intimately associated with the sea. Viracocha was immediately followed by Inti, the sun. Viracocha created the universe, sun, moon, and stars. Time, by commanding the sun to move over the sky. And civilization itself. Viracocha was worshipped as god of the sun and of storms. So that's cool. Yeah,
Right.
because like if he's like this primordial thing, like
Right.
yeah, it seems reasonable to associate him with storms because storms are like chaos.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So-called staff gods do not all necessarily fit well with the Viracocha interpretation.
But I do think some are, so they're probably, or another type of deity.
Okay.
But yes. And see here it says, during the time of bringing darkness into the form of light, or chaos into order.
That's another way of, so they just, the pre-Incas and Incas, they just
it's a similar
it's the same thing.
See what we're saying, what we're talking about? It's not different. It's just another version of this similar thinking.
He made the sun, moon, and the stars.
He made mankind. He arose from Lake
Titicaca.
But yet he's associated with the sea, but here they're saying he's a lake. You see what I'm saying? Because you are limiting your understanding, as we just read about what the Egyptians say, that theirs is a sea, but sometimes also a river and sometimes a lake. Yeah, and you know why? Because it's a metaphor. It's not limited to a specific thing. That if you think that way, you're misunderstanding.
And I find this part interesting. He made mankind by breathing into stones. So like you have this reference to like the breath.
Yeah,
he's giving life to like this inanimate. Yeah,
that's correct.
But his first creation were brainless giants that displeased. So he destroyed them with a flood and made humans.
Right. See the flood. He got mad at the people he made. They didn't like him, so he destroyed them in the flood.
Beings who were better than the giants from smaller stones. After creating them, they were scattered all over the world. Viracocha eventually disappeared across the Pacific Ocean by walking on the water and never returned.
Right, because he's actually better than the water or part of the water or whatever. But anyways, we're not going to keep reading about Viracocha. I just wanted to show you that thinking where the Egyptians are saying, well, our space water deity, who the earth and created everything, the substance of everything, also can be related to lakes. And I was just showing you where the deity Viracocha can be related to the sea, but also lakes. And but like I said, I think that you're getting the main point I'm trying to show you. It doesn't really matter. Don't focus on these particular things. Get that all this is a metaphor.
Nu was depicted as an anthropomorphic large figure and a personification of the primordial waters, with water ripples filling the body, holding a notched palm branch. Nun was also depicted in anthropomorphic form, but with the head of a frog, and he was typically depicted in ancient Egyptian art holding aloft the solar bark or the sun disk.
Right, do you know what the solar bark is? We'll click on that. That's a boat that goes across the sky and carries the sun. See right there? It says Ra on the solar bark with its daily voyage across the sky, because they think the sun is going across the sky because it's floating in the water on a boat.
Guys, I'm familiar with the term solar barge.
Right, yeah.
Solar bark. Okay. Solar barks were the vessels used by the sun god Ra in ancient Egyptian mythology. During the day, Ra was said to use a vessel called the manjet, or boat of millions of years, and the vessel he used during the night was known as the Mesektet. According to Egyptian myth, when Ra became too old and weary to reign on Earth, he relinquished and went to the skies. Ra was said to travel through the sky on the barge, providing light to the world. Each 12th of his journey formed one of the 12 Egyptian hours of the day, each overseen by a protective deity. When the sun set and twilight came, he and his vessel passed through the Akhet, the horizon in the west, and traveled to the underworld. At times, the horizon is described as a gate or door that leads to Duat. There, he would have to sail on the subterrestrial Nile and cross through 12 gates and regions, with each hour of the night considered a gate overseen by 12 more protective deities.
Right, so let's pause for a second. So a subterranean Nile, a subterranean river, and the thing we read before, right, said that Nu sometimes relates to a subterranean river, right? You see how it's how we're on the same page. A underground stream, whatever. So yeah, same thing.
Yeah, or a sacred lake. Yeah.
Right. So I'm just trying to show you that all this stuff they're doing the same stuff, man. I'm telling you. We could keep going. Look, there's lots and lots and lots. We're not going to do that though, because I'm done with this video. There's too much. But the point was not for me to hammer you with every freaking mythology theme in the world. You've got the point that I tried to make, right? What did I try to make?
Yeah, the point you're trying to make is that a lot of these concepts in ancient Middle Eastern, or just ancient societies, are pretty much metaphors.
Right.
Like whether it's pyramids,
you can see why they can change.
Yeah, like whether it's deities, icons, pyramids, anything like that, they're metaphors. Like you can have like overlapping icons, like the mountains, like different mountain symbols with the sun rising up. Like different things can take on different forms, but it's all metaphor representing the same concept, or the core idea.
You got it. So real quick, we'll read Axis Money, because that kind of sums up that stuff. Then we're going to be done. So Axis Money, right where it says 20th century comparative mythology. And by the way, comparative mythology is kind of what I do. You look at the stuff in a more thoughtful way, and you compare what's going on to figure it out.
In 20th century comparative mythology, the term axis mundi, also called the cosmic axis, world pillar, center of the world, or world tree, has been greatly extended to refer to any mythological concept representing the connection between earth and heaven, or the higher and lower realms. Mircea Eliade introduced the concept in the 1950s. Axis mundi closely relates to the mythological concept of the omphalos, navel, of the world, or cosmos. Items presented.
So let's pause for 1 second though, because John Hoops does not like Mircea Eliade. He thinks that he's like the pre-Graham Hancock kind.
Oh, no kid, I didn't know that.
Well, right. So I don't, unlike and I'm not saying I agree with that totally. I told John, I said, well, I understand what you're saying. He says stuff that is not always backed up, but I have researched on my own, not caring what the fuck he says. And I do see kind of what he's talking about, these metaphors. So some of the things he says is somewhat credible, and then also he then goes off on tangents like Graham Hancock, and so I understand John's not wrong. He's just, this person's not inherent. Graham Hancock, almost everything that guy says is nonsense. You see the difference?
Yeah.
This guy is a religious studies and religion historian and does sort of understand stuff. So, but also he does speak nonsense too. So I don't know. Yeah. So I don't want people to look at this guy as the ultimate do-all and everything he says. I also don't totally agree he's a Graham Hancock. He does say things that's not great, but I wonder if they have a thing that critiques him on the Wikipedia.
Well, yeah.
I know people take him seriously, but I want to try to look and see if there's something where John says. And like I said, and I've looked at some of the stuff. Some of the stuff he says is accurate. Some of the stuff he says is too fucking far. So
maybe if you click the little, like the three little bars in the top left.
I'm trying to see if there's anything sacred and profane, because some of the stuff he says I kind of agree with. So I don't think I've heard other things he says, and I'm like, okay, that's too much. Some of this stuff, I'm trying to see if there's anything where people are tiki, because I don't want. Yeah, I do agree with some of the stuff he says though. So not because I've read his shit, I've read other stuff and went, okay, some of the stuff he says is right. But I do agree with John. Some of the stuff he says is not right. Or maybe no one did. And John just has personally told me this himself and has not gone, here's criticism of his scholarship. There we go.
Yeah,
overgeneralizes.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay. And I have the page open on my computer too, and two sections underneath this, it gets into controversies.
Right, because I wanted to get down to, because John said this, so I do appreciate what John says, and I do take him as a scholar. I'm the absolute opposite of Grant Hancock, that says he's the worst person ever. I think John is great, amazing, wonderful.
Graham's even gone farther than that. He said that he hasn't, that Hoops hasn't contributed anything of value to humanity.
No, I think so I just wanted to say, and I'm not saying that he's wrong in a general sense. This guy does have some problems, but to act as if this guy has nothing good to say, I feel that's not accurate. But let's read what's wrong with it.
Okay. Criticism of his work is overgeneralization. Eliade cites a wide variety of myths and other rituals to support his theories. However, he has been accused of making overgeneralizations. Many scholars think he lacks sufficient evidence to put forth his ideas ideas as universal or even general principles of religious thought. According to one scholar, Eliade may have been the most popular and influential contemporary historian of religion, but many, if not most, specialists in anthropology, sociology, and even history of religions have either ignored or quickly dismissed Eliade's works. The classicist G.S. Kirk criticizes Eliade's insistence that Aboriginal Australians, ancient Mesopotamians, had concepts of being, non-being, real, and becoming, although they lacked words for them. Kirk also believes that Eliade overextends his theories. For example, Eliade claims that the modern myth of the noble savage results from the religious tendency to idealize the primordial mythical age. According to Kirk, such extravagancies, together with a marked repetitiousness, have made Eliade unpopular with many anthropologists and sociologists. In Kirk's view, Eliade derived his theory of eternal return from the functions of Australian Aboriginal mythology, and then proceeded to apply the theory to other mythologies to which it did not apply. For example, Kirk argues that the eternal return does not accurately describe the functions of Native American or Greek mythology. Kirk concludes, Eliade's idea is a valuable perception about certain myths, not a guide to the proper understanding of all of them.
See, and I that's sort of my take. Is I wouldn't say everything he says is inherently, because Graham Hancock, by the way, to me, you shouldn't listen to a fucking word that fool's talks about. It's there's substance and value to the world as he talks about, saying John Hoops is. To me, Graham Hancock, I'm talking about, has done anti-value. He's added bullshit to the world that's hurt understanding.
Yeah, it's confused people too.
Yeah, it's made them hate science. I had a leftist and an atheist in 1 year, a long time ago, not now, but it feels like 3 years ago. It could be 5 or something, 8. No, I don't know. My life it feels long, but it's certainly within the same year, because before the show came out, when people were just talking about his books, I think probably before the Netflix is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And a leftist, oh man, you gotta not trust everything that archaeologists and scientists say, because a lot of times I do that. And he goes, they're not trustable. Graham Hancock proves that. See, that proves to me that I need to address him like almost every video, because he's an enemy of truth. He's not just not adding value to the world. He literally is adding disvalue to me. Anyway, so going to this guy, I do agree that his ideas, a valuable perception about certain myths, right? Not a guide to understanding all of them. The way that this guy does stuff, it maybe is, not as great as he tries to do, but it's not, he doesn't lack anything, where Graham Hancock to me is literally vacuous. So yeah. So anyways, we'll get off of that. I want to read this one part here where it says, items present examples of Axis Mundi and comparative mythologies include, and not just by the way that one guy, but other parathyology. It can be a tree, a vine, a stalk, a mountain, a column of smoke, fire, product of human manufacture, staff, tower, ladder, staircase, maple, cross, steeple, rope, totem pole, pillar, spire, approximately to carrying to heaven, whatever, chiefly religious, temple, church, whatever, temple mount, obelisk, lighthouse. See, some of this to me, I don't agree with. I don't agree with lighthouse, because that has nothing to do with religion. Skyscraper, nothing to do with religion. Rocket, nothing to do with religion. So, do you see what I'm saying? Some of this that they're bringing up, this is a religious, cosmological, mythological concept, and you're talking about non-religious things just because they're straight? No.
Yeah, no.
You see what I'm saying? So that's taking it too fucking far. A maypole is a religious thing. Cross, I don't think that's exactly what it means, but it's still a religious thing. Steeple, well, it's on top of a religious building, but I think they were put there for lighting, but so it's not exactly. Rope, do you mean a rope that's a cosmic rope? Because just a regular rope, then no. Any damn rope? No. You get a pillar? Well, if it's a pillar because you like the shape of pillars, or do you mean a religious pillar? Because those are not the same. So I don't exactly agree with making it that broad, because I don't think these secular ones have anything to do with it at all. Nope. Because they're not relating to the religious concept, which is the concept. It's just not every dirt and every mountain is a sacred mountain. That's not it. No belief that every mountain is a sacred mountain. Sacred mountains are sacred mountains for a specific reason. Anyway, so that's it. But anyways, I appreciate you coming and doing this and stepping outside your wheelhouse.
Well, no, I enjoyed today's episode. I learned a bit.
Right on.
I learned some more about these concepts, especially how a lot of themes in the ancient Middle East or West Asia, some prefer to call it nowadays. How a lot of it, not even just there, but across the world, a lot of these themes, these structures, icons, figures, they're really just metaphors for describing chaos or the natural world, or people trying to grasp different things in the world, like early on in their societies. It's interesting to think about like how differently people thought about the world back then. It's humbling when you think about how far we've come.
True.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said too, that you're grasping that was the point, not exactly learning about pyramids or mounds or even mythology, but what is really going on. So when this stuff is presented, that's why I was trying to say, I like laugh and will not spend any time in that bullcrap about advanced technology and how pyramids were built. Who gives a fuck? That literally doesn't even matter. That is not even the point. Imagine people coming back from the old days and watching them talk about the building technology, and they're like, dude, are you serious?
Well, no, it's like so many people just get hung up on the buildings, especially the pyramids, because they just don't understand the basics of construction, and they don't understand the basics of Egyptian society.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's a big problem.
But you can see how once you understand what, like I said, what's really going on, how we don't even need to entertain their shit for 10 seconds. I'm going to debate you on high technology. It's literally nonsense. Move on. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, yeah.
Well, plus, Graham Hancock said it too perfectly anyways. There's no evidence of this shit that archaeologists have ever found. And so why would we even entertain it anyway?
Yeah.
The debate, you have no evidence? See you later, bye.
Yeah, he pretty much said it himself.
He did say that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it's important to understand reason, and then
definitely.
Reason demands reason and evidence. So that should be how you're building your, in a sense, beliefs. And I say that you should have, in a sense, a belief etiquette, a way that you believe. It shouldn't just be, well, anything goes, right? Anything. Fuck no, right? I value good belief etiquette, and what is that, Dylan?
Reason, belief acquisitions, good belief maintenance, and honest belief relinquishment. Oh, and that last part, relinquishing long-held beliefs.
Yep.
Or just beliefs in general. That's so hard for a lot of people. Especially the lost ancient high technology crowd that we're talking about.
Right. Because literally they have to. They literally need to just they're fighting over, is that vase perfect or not? I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, and come to find out, a lot of them are probably modern replicas that have gotten worked into the antiquities market.
True, but do you see like how I'm saying, dude, are you kidding me? They're talking about, oh my gosh, hold on a second. They're talking about cosmology and mythology, and you're here like, maybe there's tools. What?
No, what's troubling about a lot of them is it's like they, it seems pretty obvious that they have like some amount, like a large amount of Dunning-Kruger, they've started researching, but they haven't hit that plateau that they realize like, oh shit, like, I know next to nothing, like practically nothing about Egypt or architecture or fucking like lifting techniques or anything.
Or like I said, okay, why did they build it? Have you ever looked into that? Like, what was their motivation? What was their belief system? What did they think they were doing? Because they don't have an ethics of belief. Go ahead and read that. What's an ethics of belief?
Would you be intellectually honest enough to want to know if your belief was completely false? And once knowing it was an unjustified belief, realize it lacks warrant and the qualities needed for belief retention, as well as grasp the rationality that compels belief relinquishment due to the beliefs and sufficient supporting reason and evidence. The act of believing just because one wants to believe, when everything contradicts the belief, is intellectually unethical or deluded. Yeah, and see what a lot of people in this crowd will do. They're not just the new coming enthusiasts, but the long timers like Graham Hancock. Once you start picking at their ideas, they don't say like, hey, I'm open to this. What did I get wrong? They'll really push back, or they'll go for like a personal attack and say, well, you're part of the archaeological mafia. If you're a bad person, we can't trust you. You see, it's like they'll stay at that Dunning-Kruger place.
They do.
They won't take the pitfall. They don't want to like be humiliated or anything like that for promoting.
Well, I say the exact opposite. If you can show me that I'm wrong, I welcome it. Why would I want to stay wrong?
Yeah, it's like some of them, or maybe most of them even, are associating like being wrong with being like publicly embarrassed or humiliated. humiliating.
I think it's more humiliating to fucking stay with what's wrong.
Yeah, like they're
'Cause to
really
me,
holding on to that. It's really unfortunate.
Truth. We often think we know what is truth is, but truth is a vantage point away from losing credibility if we are not willing to follow valid reason and evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what they do. They literally are not willing to follow.
No, that's the unfortunate thing.
But facts should lead your beliefs, not your beliefs leading your facts.
Yeah, exactly. That's well said.
Because you know me, I got a whole bunch of them because I've done this for a while, and also I really care about what's true.
Yeah, so
I know that's such a crazy concept, but to me, like I told you, I realize that it's not just about me trying to attack people, but to educate. So to me, I am learning that justice and change need friends like openness, commitment, and thoughtfulness. Likewise, truth is best championed in respectful interaction, not forgetting the humanity we are. Because I told you, I feel like some people that if they can show someone wrong, that they somehow feel they have justification to then belittle them and stuff, and that's just not my way. I'm not for constantly doing that. Like I said, Graham Hancock has 30 years of telling lies and attacking science and attacking archaeology, especially good people like John Oates, who cares about the truth and has done a lot to support truth and fight nonsense. And but like I said, I appreciate what you do too, Dylan. I think that you're doing good stuff, and I hope that my way of doing things also can improve and make you even better.
Oh yeah, and I think it's going to, not just in the short term, but over the long term also. Yeah,
right on.
Especially going through all these episodes and all this content you've put together over your years of research.
Yeah,
I think it's going to really improve the work I'm doing.
Because it gets you to start thinking different, doesn't it? Or thinking more. And I know you're already kind of doing that anyways, but I'm showing you're on the right path of how to do that.
Yeah, it gives me a lot more information and concepts to work with for working with North American or just archaeology in the Americas or elsewhere. It's like you said earlier, knowledge is powerful. The more of it you have, like if you can sit down and understand these concepts, like put facts together, understand how they relate, and how they form larger concepts, like it's going to improve your critical thinking. Whether it's archaeology or genetics or whatever it may be, it's worth taking the time, like sitting down and going through this stuff. It'll really help over the long term.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
definitely. And so the next video, which we're going to be doing naked or nudism. And how that's not an exhibition of primitivism. And you can have advanced cultures because being naked is a clothing strategy or a clothing style and not somehow inherently mean that just you're a savage or something because or low culture or primitive just because you do that. So
that's going to be interesting to go through.
Right?
Yeah.
You know me, I always bring the fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to do that. And then after that, then we'll go back and do a mythology thing. So it's the last one, number 20. Reincarnation, rebirth in indigenous religions, Siberia, the Americas, Aboriginal Australians, including Celtic Druids. It also is, and also Indian religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. So that's those will be our next, in a sense, videos we're going to be doing.
Okay.
So and also people know. But it's important because people don't realize, they always think of Hinduism. And I'm like, dude, almost 100 to 90% of people in the Americas and in Siberia believe in some form of reincarnation or rebirth. It's like massive.
Oh yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
Right?
Oh,
So,
yeah,
definitely. So it helps you because it's a concept that it does affect where you go and do research. So, but yeah, those are going to be our next two things. Like I told you, I want to go back and forth doing archaeology sort of, related things and then mythology related things because I think that they both matter and I think that they both need to be addressed. So, especially how I do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because how I do it is that, as you already seen, is I mix sort of them together. So they're not really distinctly by themselves really anyway. So.
No, if anything, that's the right way to do it.
Thank you.
Seeing how they all relate. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. So go ahead and tell the people where to find you and all that good stuff.
Okay, you can find me on X, Reddit, and Blue Sky at Copper Violet. You can find me on Facebook at Dylan Violet. It's my more personal account. I post on the old Copper Complex and Ancient Waterways Facebook group and the Musquabic Facebook group. If you want to reach out to me professionally through email. You can find me at copperviolet@gmail.com, or you can reach me at my academia.edu page. I go by Dylan Violet over there.
Right on. Okay. And I will put the video in your blog that we had about us talking together, and I'll put it either in the comments or I'll put it as a comment, like in this video. I'll put it as a comment to the video so that the people can find you also by that method, and also see the videos that we've done together. All right, everyone, take care and see you next time.
Okay, see you later, everybody.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Damien Marie AtHope. In the simplest terms, I am an atheist-humanist philosopher and prehistorical writer-researcher at DamienMarieAtHope.com. I am specifically an axiological atheist. An axiological atheism can be thought to involve ethical and value theory reasoned and moral argument driven apatheism, agnosticism, atheism, anti-theism, anti-religionism, secularism, and humanism. Axiological atheists can be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. As an axiological atheism's ethically reasoned and constructive pro-humanity. I am an axiological thinker, value theorist. The science of goodness, worthiness, usefulness, valuableness, virtue, reliableness, accuracy, validity, morality, integrity, beneficialness, etc., etc. We axiologists have a value consciousness. And in general, we see the architecture of humanistic humanitarianism value in people that we see as dignity beings. Places and things are not. Axiology is a value theory. In its broadest sense, it involves areas of philosophy that are deemed to encompass some evaluative or evaluation aspect. Therefore, it crosses almost all domains in some way or another. Now for a more detailed terms as to what I am. I am an axiological atheist, an anti-theist, an anti-religionist, secularist, humanist, rationalist, writer, artist, poet, philosopher, advocate, activist with schooling in psychology, sociology, as well as I am an autodidact, self-taught in science, archaeology, anthropology, and philosophy. I promote science and am against pseudoscience, pseudohistory, pseudomorality, things that are found in religion.